Podmortem would like to thank Original Cinematic for sponsoring this week's episode. Original Cinematic is a production company that has made it their mission to create, produce, and promote films that are inclusive, honor women, promote the LGBTQIA+ community, and provide prominent positions and roles to POC actors and filmmakers, and promote the films of marginalized and underrepresented populations. These are all things that are extremely important to our podcast as well.
Original Cinematic is proud to be a WGA signatory company, and they fully stand by the WGA and its members in their fight for extremely reasonable standards. Accordingly, they are not accepting scripts or treatment submissions at this time, but both William and Xxena Rush are available via email free of charge to discuss writing and provide input and resources to all aspiring writers. Their information will be made available in the show notes. Ahead of the strike, William Rush has individually produced numerous projects, including Coffee with Baba, Day by Day, They Slay, Before, Pack is Here, Abacue, The Winemaker, and Where Do You Draw the Line?
2 feature films, Group and Immersion, are slated for release this fall. Absolutely no picket lines will be crossed and no collective bargaining agreements will be violated in the making of either of these films. And very generously, Original Cinematic is providing all Podmortem patrons with a special link to view these films. If arrangements can be made, they will even schedule virtual or in-person screening for our patrons. We cannot thank Original Cinematic enough for their contribution to our show and the horror community as a whole. Now, back to our regularly scheduled program.
Salutations! Welcome to Podmortem. I'm Reneé Hunter Vasquez, joined as always by my co-host, my husband, and my brother.
Hi, I'm John Paul Vasquez.
Hi, I'm Travis Hunter.
This week, we're recording live from an ill-fated inspection discussing the 1993 sci-fi adventure thriller, Jurassic Park. This film was directed by Steven Spielberg, based on the novel by Michael Crichton, with a screenplay by Crichton and David Koepp. Fascinated by the premise of Crichton's novel, Spielberg had his eye on the film rights before it was even published. Despite Crichton's firm $1.5 million fee for the rights, Universal beat out the likes of Joe Dante, Richard Donner, and Tim Burton and awarded the rights to Steven Spielberg. Inspired by King Kong and his own adaptation of Jaws, Spielberg would partner with an iconic cast to make an unforgettable film. Jurassic Park would go on to win multiple Academy Awards and become the highest-grossing film of its time. More importantly, not only did this film spawn a new generation's interest in paleontology, but it has cemented its place in the heart of people of a certain age. This film was recommended to us by friends of the show, Eggy, Molly Gerhart, Brittany Ramatar, Kristen Lofton, Megan M., Blaine Hancock, and M. We want to thank each of them for their support as well as for this suggestion. So, what did you guys think of Jurassic Park the first time you saw it?
I can't remember and pinpoint the exact time when I seen it, but I know I was probably like 11, 12. I do remember watching this a lot, and I remember then seeing it. I was like, "Oh shit! How did they get dinosaurs there? Like where?" Like you know, I was old enough to know it wasn't real, but it's like that shit looked so good. It was like, damn. It was like, man, how did you guys, y'all really find dinosaurs for this shit? But I remember loving the movie, and even as an adult watching it again. And I remember watching it and then telling you, I was like, man, that movie was really good. Mm-hmm. But I still love this movie. And I guess I fall into that people of a certain age because like I really, really enjoy this movie.
So I know we saw it as children. Mm-hmm. I am taking everyone's word for it. Because when it came out, I was 2 years old.
Right.
And so I was making memories, but I was only holding on to some of them. But I will say that I rewatched it last year for the first time since childhood. Mm-hmm. And so it kind of felt like a first-time watch. But then there were all these familiar moments that I was like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Maybe I was making
It's in there.
It's somewhere. But I will say, it's a lot of fun. It's really, I think what is so staggering is exactly what JP said. There are moments that you're like, I don't know how you did this in 1993.
Yeah.
And knowing what I know now, because I know we've all done a lot of research.
A lot.
Seeing everything that went into the film is very impressive.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, in all honesty, it's a cinematic achievement, but it's also a technical achievement as far as filmmaking is concerned, and really was a turning point for using computer graphics in this way.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Using it this much. I will say that I appreciate the character arcs in the film. I would like a little bit more character in some ways, but then again, you're like, this is a spectacle.
It's like, what are we doing here?
What are we even doing here?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's in the thing is that even if there's a little less character and more emphasis on what we're seeing, the cast is amazing.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And so you're like, it's fine.
Yeah.
We don't have to worry about any of that. It's just very well crafted. And one thing I do have to say. Horror.
Uh-huh.
I think that if we can look back into all of the discussions that we've had on Discord, all of the comments that I've made on previous episodes of Talk Mortem,
tread
and
very
I think
lightly.
It's just important that we all know that I've always maintained that, I mean, in just logically speaking,
Right.
that, Jurassic Park is a horror.
I will flip all this shit over. The entire Discord right now. Just unsubscribe.
I'm sorry. No,
Just
come back.
a liar.
No, come back. Look, okay. Here, let me put it this way. Maybe I was saying all that shit because I was playing the long game. Because
So no one would know that
exactly.
we were going to do this.
Yeah, and because whenever we all got together and I was like, hey, the 30th anniversary is
Yeah.
like tomorrow, I think.
Yeah.
From when we record this.
Yeah.
Long game.
Yeah. Well, when you said that, when we were projecting the schedule for June, I was like, who the fuck is on my phone? Who is this?
Well, I had a change of heart.
A massive
change of heart.
But no, as you said, it is the 30th anniversary. And I think that this can be, I was going to say, now a lot of y'all are probably saying this is not a horror film. So anyway,
like I did with Zodiac.
Yeah. Moving forward.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a creature feature. It's we're getting a little more flexible.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Steve said some stuff.
He did.
Not Steve.
Well, he's Steve right now. When we disagree with him, he's Steve.
Yeah.
I watched a little mini documentary called Return to Jurassic Park. I know JP watched it as well.
Yeah. Dawn of a New Era, I think.
Yeah. They had talked about the beginnings of the film, and he did say that after he had read Crichton's novel, he didn't want to make a creature feature or a regular horror film. And I feel like a lot of people try to distance themselves from that label.
Yeah.
Because Spielberg also said that he wanted to make Jurassic Park Jaws on land.
Yeah,
But that's a horror film.
That's a horror film.
And he took inspiration from King Kong.
Which is a classic.
But,
Yeah.
That's fine. Sometimes we make things and we don't know what they're going to be received as or what they're going to turn into.
Yeah.
So what does Spielberg know? You know what I mean?
Seriously. About film, right?
Right.
I mean, we've all...
This guy, right? No, but my first impression. I remember seeing this. I know that we watched it as kids. I remember watching it as a kid. But then I didn't watch it for many, many, many years. And I talk a lot about in 2020 when we were doing movie nights every night. And this was one that we watched. And I was like, oh, Jurassic Park. Like, yeah, I know Jurassic Park, whatever. But watching it, I'm like,
It's good.
bitch, yeah, how are you almost 30 years old and you look this good?
Yeah.
And you're still, I mean, it was still, it
Wait,
was such
so
a...
Jurassic Park's the V word in that sentence?
Yes. The B word. Yes.
Okay.
I was just really impressed. Visually, I was having such a great time with the characters. And like you said, there are a couple things and there's a couple plot holes and there's a couple things that are set up and then we just kind of move past it.
Yeah.
I know logically that there are those moments. I know critically that there are those moments watching it for the show.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. Like you said, I would like a little more character development, but that's not what this is.
No.
And I'm queen character,
Yeah.
fleshing out your characters. we're all here for the same thing, right, guys? You know what I mean?
What's that T-Rex gonna do?
Yeah. What is she thinking? You know what I mean? No, but it is such a fun time. Like I said in my intro, sparked a generation, a whole new group of people interested in going into the field of paleontology, and that is so special. That, there's something amazing about that. And this isn't a movie that I talk a lot about hyper fixating on films when I was younger. This is not one of them.
No.
But watching it as an adult, I feel nostalgia for it. I mean, it's weird. It's just a really special movie. I don't know how else to explain it.
No, it is, because even watching it as an adult, I still sit there and I'm like, oh wow.
You feel like you're five.
Yeah, but I'm like, I know. There's no, maybe one of them's real, but but it does, and it was a movie I watched a lot, but like you said, the hyperfixate on wasn't anything like that.
Yeah.
But then when they made sequels, they whatever, and then it was like, oh okay, and yeah, they don't all, the later movies aren't as good as the first one.
Okay.
The first one, they're never gonna top what they did there, but it is something that, like, watching it, I do still feel like I'm 11 years old.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh man, this is fucking, what's going to happen next? I know what's going to happen next. You just watched it. You
Like
know
yesterday.
what I mean? Yeah.
I think it goes with what we learned from that little documentary is whenever we get that feeling of like childlike wonder.
Yeah.
Spielberg himself was talking about the mindset that he put himself in when he was making it. He said that whenever he was a child, he was fascinated by dinosaurs. He said dinosaur names were probably the first long words he ever learned.
Aww.
Yeah.
And so whenever he's talking about that, he said when he's on set, he's trying to put himself back in the mind of that child whose father was taking him to these museums to look at these dinosaur bones, and he's just in awe.
Yeah.
And you see him on set directing, and he's directing with such like eagerness and just
I love
excitement, and it is very childlike.
Yeah, that was something too in that interview that I liked, was they were talking with the cast. In the interview, he's talking with Joseph Mazzello, and he was saying how much fun they had with him directing them and doing the movie. He said that they looked at him not as a child actor, but as part of, you know what I mean, the crew, and that he would ask them, what do you think? How do you think we can make this better? How we can, like, I bet a lot of them said that. And I was like, man, that's fucking great. And you can feel it in the movie too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you notice I said Spielberg instead of Steve.
Yeah. Right. So now
It's respect.
That's his part. But they were talking about the beginnings of the project. It's wild how much went into this film.
Yeah.
From the beginning, they knew immediately before the novel's even published, Universal, I believe, secured the rights to it for Spielberg.
Yeah.
Damn.
And so they knew what they were planning, and they saw these themes in this novel. Spielberg was very attracted to these ideas that are forwarded in Crichton's novel, that we do get a lot of kind of deep explorations that do fit. That's why I'm saying the film itself, there is a lot of it that has that nostalgic factor.
Mm-hmm.
Feels very much like it was made in the 90s, but then at the same time, there is a timelessness to it.
Mm-hmm.
And one of those things is the conversation that happens in this film about science.
Yeah.
Kind of,
That
could versus should.
That shit hits different when you're an adult. I'll say that.
It hits different when you're an adult. It hits different when you're an adult in 2023.
Yeah.
Because we're seeing some weird shit going on. To put it mildly. But I do want to talk about some of the stuff that's going to come up later as far as the technical side. But there was something along the lines of pre-production beginning and then them actually starting production. That day to that day was 25 months.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable when you think of it that way, because that's how much research, that's how much planning, all of the special effects had to be designed, different ideas for certain dinosaurs, what they were going to look like, their skin texture, everything.
Yeah.
And so also looking back, you see obviously Jurassic Park is like just a smash. But in that interview, Spielberg was talking about this idea that maybe, and it's just funny to think about now, he said maybe the public wouldn't buy into this idea.
Yeah.
And then it becomes one of the biggest films ever. But to me, I love seeing a creative on that level still have those doubts.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because that shows not only do they care about what they're doing, but they also have that level of I don't want to say insecurity, but I mean, I relate to it is what I'm trying to say.
No, for sure. And I mean, it's easy when you're blown up like that to just get complacent.
Yeah.
And look at what all these people are saying about me. Anything that I put out is going to be amazing. You know what I mean? But the fact that he's like, well, I don't know about this. That's endearing.
Dinosaurs?
Yeah. Because he's not just trying to put out another lamp monster.
No.
You know,
He's like, we're doing...
Yeah.
Now, before we endorse this film, we would like to issue a warning for spoilers. Podmortem is a very in-depth podcast, and in thoroughly discussing horror films, we have no choice but to spoil a thing or two. If you don't wish to be spoiled, please go watch the film, then come back and enjoy the show. If you've already seen the film or don't care about spoilers, then let's mesquite go. Ominous music plays over credits against a black screen, and we get the title card, Jurassic Park.
One thing I did really appreciate was how the title card of the film with the logo is just simply the logo of the park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we see it so often.
A lot.
Yeah.
It's on
Yeah.
everything.
But it's very noticeable and memorable.
Yes.
Yeah.
You don't even need the words. If you just see the dinosaur in the middle thing, it's like, oh, that's Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's just iconic.
Yeah.
That's one word that don't turn it into a drinking game.
Oh, no.
'Cause-
Because it's
Yeah.
so true. But the film opens properly on a shot of trees moving as something large moves through them. A crew, each of them wearing orange Jurassic Park helmets, watches stoically.
I thought with the trees moving, I was like, we're diving, like, because the suspense is building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, we're diving right into this. These three dudes are going to be fighting a dinosaur.
This shit is wild.
Yeah.
Robert Muldoon, played by Bob Peck, holds a gun, serious and waiting. A crane lifts a huge container through the trees and up to the crew. They guide it down gently, and we get text that reads, Isla Nublar, 120 miles west of Costa Rica. Something, we don't know what it is, growls inside of the container, but Muldoon instructs the pushing team to move in.
I think I was, again, too invested at the start. Because I was like, oh, wow, they're fighting a dinosaur. Oh, wait, no, it's a box. Oh, wait, there's a dinosaur in the box.
Where is the dinosaur?
It's a lot of emotions.
But the pushing team does move in, one man getting the shit scared out of him when the thing inside the container shrieks. Muldoon tells them to have the tasers ready and instructs them as they push the container. They slide it between metal pillars with lights.
There is a shot, I don't know if it's at this moment or coming up, but I was very proud of myself because the way that it's framed, the way that the lighting is, and the way that the silhouettes are,
Right.
I said, there is no other person that shot this film but Dean Cundy. And I was right.
Yeah.
I was so excited. And a little fun fact, thanks to Letterboxd, this is the 7th film we've covered that was shot by Dean Cundy.
Oh, nice.
Holy shit.
More than any cinematographer on Podmortem.
I mean,
Hell yeah.
he's doing the damn thing.
Yeah.
But the lights go from red to yellow to green, and Muldoon tells them to step away. He then calls upon the gatekeeper, Joffrey, played by Joffrey C. Brown, who climbs a ladder to the top of the container. Following orders, he raises the gate, opening one of the walls of the container. Dramatic music mounts, but the creature throws its weight against the container, and Joffrey's mission is thwarted. Not only does he lose his grip on the gate, but he is thrown onto the ground. Yeah. Once he rolls over, he is snatched and dragged screaming into the container by something unseen. Someone holds Joffrey so that he's not lost completely, and we see glimpses of the creature attacking him and the sharp eye, I'm just going to say it, of a dinosaur.
Oh, shit. I told you there was a dinosaur in there.
Muldoon screams at anyone to just shoot her, but we watch Joffrey's hand slip away as he's taken.
Hold on. Say it right.
What?
Come on. How did you say it the way he said it?
I want to hear you say it.
Yeah. I want you to say
He's
it.
so emphatic about it.
How did you say it?
No, you tell it.
I've gotten in enough trouble with my accents, okay?
No, it's great because you shoot her. You got fucking shoot the dinosaur man.
For real though, but dinosaur man. But how scary?
That was Godzilla.
Right, sorry.
How scary would that be?
Oh, man. I think this thing is really just showing me that if one mistake can lead to this,
Oh yeah.
should we really be doing any of it?
No, I think that's the moral of all of
Yeah. Plus, think about you're watching this. You're just one of the guys on the sidelines with the tasers are supposed to shoot her or whatever. And it's like, oh no, I don't want to do that next. It's like the next time, right?
Yeah.
He's gone. He's gonna make one of us do that.
It's like, it's
But-
never going to be my turn, right?
No. So we're done doing this?
Yeah.
I think the thing that got me is that he told them to get their tasers ready.
He
Yeah,
did.
he
He
did.
did.
And then this thing happens and they're like, oh damn.
Well, and
They're just watching.
This is a recurring theme. I don't think I'll say anyone who works for Jurassic Park is taking things as seriously as Muldoon,
Yeah.
and everyone should be listening to him. But he does, shoot up.
Yeah.
And the sound of gunshots echo as we transition to a river.
So that was a lot, Robin.
Yeah. What an opening, right?
Yeah, and a very abrupt transition to such a peaceful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, is it gonna get more?
No, I think it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. That was the scary part. I think everything else is fine.
So it's not a horror film.
No. No, it is. Yes, it is. But on-screen text reads, Mano de Dios Amber Mine in the Dominican Republic. Donald Gennaro stands on a raft and is pulled across the river. He's greeted on the other side by Juanito Rostaño, played by Miguel Sandoval, and he greets Gennaro warmly, but Gennaro is upset that he heard that someone named Hammond isn't even here. He reminds Rostaño that they're facing a $20 million lawsuit from the family of the worker that was killed, and he is appalled that Hammond can't even see him. So that's what happened at the beginning.
Yeah.
His family is suing them for $20 million, which they should.
Yes.
Oh no. Yeah.
Well, I don't think it's in the contract. You might
Not at all.
Yeah.
sign right here.
But Rostaño explains that Hammond had to leave early to be with his daughter because she is getting a divorce. Gennaro follows Rostaño as he argues that they've been advised to deal with the situation now. He slips on a rock, Rostaño helps him up, and he just continues like it didn't happen. Props. I would have just laid on the ground.
Yeah, I'm embarrassed.
I'll get an associate to come do this.
I can't face you again.
He says that the underwriters feel that the incident involving Joffrey has raised safety questions about the park. Big shock.
I gotta be honest, man.
What a reach.
This, but what we already know, at least going in, is this is the most dangerous park
Yeah.
in the history of parks. Raising. They should be.
We're just setting up.
Yeah.
And somebody has been killed.
Not one. You haven't had opening day.
No.
Yeah. If this is what we're looking forward to, nah.
Not only is it just someone, but somebody who is trained, and you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
They had tasers ready.
Yeah.
Yeah. And still.
And this is what happens.
Yeah.
But he says this is making their investors anxious. So to appease them, he had to promise to perform a thorough on-site inspection. This stops Rostaño in his tracks. He laments that Hammond hates inspections because they just slow everything down. But Gennaro points out the fact that they will pull their funding and that will slow them down even more.
You know, the thing about inspections is they're necessary, right?
Literally.
They're very necessary. I know that they can be annoying, but they are for the safety of the occupants and to protect the occupants' valuables in the building and the building itself. You know what I mean? A professional ensures that they're there and there's nothing there, that there's nothing that they're missing that's gonna go out later or fail in the structure. So you need to get all this inspected. If one of those, again, fucking dinosaur was in there, you see he was waiting.
Yes.
That motherfucker was waiting.
Yeah.
Well, he was waiting. He's like, I'm gonna be calm, and then when you come over here, I'm gonna push it away from the wall and I'm gonna bite you. And he did. He fucked
No,
it
he
up.
did.
Well, it seems like it's a zoo as much as it is a theme park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
One-
even say that later.
One screw loose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like this needs to be ship shape.
And that's
Yeah.
the thing is John Paul, you're saying how important these things are. This is just for a regular ass like business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have brought dinosaurs into the mix. Like
Their
Yeah.
teeth are very sharp.
they're quite big.
I don't know if anybody told you. We don't know anything about
No.
dinosaurs like that.
No.
This shit is dangerous. But worker at the mine, played by Adrian Escobar, rushes up to Rostaño and tells him something urgently in Spanish. Without another word to Gennaro or acknowledgement of what Gennaro just said, Rostaño leaves. We cut to him entering the mine, Gennaro trailing behind him, still advising that if 2 experts will sign off on the island, then the insurance will sign off. He says that he got Ian Malcolm, but the investors think that he's too trendy and they want Alan Grant.
Too trendy. Oh, yes. I agree.
He's very trendy. Rostaño laughs at this, saying that they'll never get Alan Grant out of Montana. Gennaro asks why not.
There's just a lot of exposition here. I'll never.
But come on, man. Like,
well, yeah.
They said Crichton said that this film is about 20% of his novel.
Really?
Yes. Like, there's a sequence later that I'll point it out when we get there, but that is a very dense part of the book that Spielberg was like, we gotta find a way. We gotta find a way to get this across in another way.
Well, I mean, some stuff just doesn't work on film.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I mean, Crichton built like this whole, it's always, there's always more in the book.
Right.
But I feel like it is, but they got it.
But you'll never get him out of Montana. I do not know this.
Why not?
Well.
Yeah. Tell me why.
Yeah.
But Rostaño takes the giant piece of amber that he came for and calls the other men around to look at it. In a very somber tone, he tells Gennaro that Alan Grant won't leave Montana because he's like him. He's a digger. Rostaño smiles and chuckles at the amber, and we zoom in to reveal a mosquito preserved inside.
So this tight shot is very important.
Mm-hmm.
I understand we're going to learn all about this.
Yeah.
But it was funny to me because what we see later in regards to Hammond, I think that this is his. Like, we got one for you.
Yeah.
We'll see how this one's used.
But we cut to a crew gently sweeping sand away from a large and intact dinosaur skeleton. Text tells us that we're in the Badlands near Snakewater, Montana. Someone comes over and calls out to Dr. Grant and Dr. Sattler, telling them that they're ready to try again. He stands, and we finally see Dr. Alan Grant, played by Sam Neill, and Dr. Ellie Sattler, played by Laura Dern.
Yeah. He was, in fact, knee deep digging, right?
He was.
He'll never leave Montana.
Never.
This is when I really, really, really realized this cast.
Yeah.
And then, of course, who's coming later?
Yeah.
It's
Man.
unbelievable.
Yeah. I had read potential actors that they had in mind for them, and I was like, well, I read that they offered Grant to Harrison Ford and William Hurt.
I can see Harrison Ford doing it, but Sam Neill is brilliant.
Yeah. He's perfect.
That's the thing.
Sandra Bullock was almost Ellie.
I could see.
And there's some, other characters that we'll meet later on that it's just, I personally can't imagine it being anybody other than them.
Uh-huh.
And Spielberg was quoted to say that he decided to go with actors and not movie stars.
Okay.
So I was like,
All right.
whatever decisions that you made, they work for me.
And I think they had said that Laura Dern was his first choice, no matter who auditioned.
Love that.
Oh, nice.
I think she was just nominated for an Academy Award the year before this.
Hell yeah.
So,
she's great.
Yeah.
I love Harrison Ford, but even as much as I can remember, he's always given like an old man vibe. So I don't really see him doing the shit that Sam Neill does in this movie and like being fluid.
Well,
Not fluid.
well, but when we just saw him like doing all the shit in What Lies Beneath.
Yeah.
Well,
We're a little fresh
He's
in
not
mind with that. But he was also Han Solo.
He was.
but they weren't running from dinosaurs. They were flying in spaceships.
Well, he could fly a spaceship.
He's sitting down though.
Yes.
They
No,
were
no.
ready for For me, Sam Neill's just hard to beat with anybody.
No,
I adore him. But Grant mutters that he hates computers, and as Ellie wraps a bandana around his neck, she jokes that the feeling is mutual. Nevertheless, they wrap their arms around each other, and they leave the site and head toward the man that called them.
I have to say before we get to this point, just the idea in my mind, I think it would be incredible to dig into the ground and find one bone. Let alone a whole ass smiling skeleton. I don't
Yeah.
know what. All skeletons are very happy that you found them. I don't know how I would even react to this.
No, I you know what? I never thought about that, but I bet that would be very fucking exciting.
The piece that they were working on too was
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah, dude.
And they're all just
Yeah.
sweeping it away. It's like, whoa, y'all are
gotta
fucking
be-
doing that shit. Like, that's crazy.
They actually had Jack Horner, a paleontologist,
Yeah.
as like a consultant on the film. And so a lot of the stuff that we hear coming from Sam Neill, obviously, I'm sure a chunk of it's from the novel, but a lot of it is from Jack Horner, including one of his theories that Sam Neill is very married to in this film.
Yeah.
Or Dr. Grant, I should say.
No, Sam Neill.
He isn't playing himself.
And now is this little Jack Horner from the rhymes?
Now, I did not know of this rhyme. You guys taught me this rhyme, which is really just a ripoff of Miss Muffet.
It really is.
Yeah.
Or maybe she ripped him off.
No, she did it first. No,
I don't know. I don't even know what a tuft it is, but
I think it's a table.
in my head, it's a mushroom.
Yeah, I
that
was
has
gonna
to be
say,
like
there's
that had to be an illustration somewhere
Yeah.
that got baked in. We're way off topic.
But what was the spider doing?
He scared the shit out of her.
That's what he did. Oh, I'm just trying to eat my curds and whey. dude.
He wanted the curds and whey.
Oh, take a chair. Sorry, go ahead. What happened next?
Moving on. The crew blasts a radar underground, and the entire group crowds around a computer to watch the results. The guy operating the computer explains that the results should be immediate. As soon as the radar is shot into the ground, the bone bounces the image back. The image loads onto the screen, and he muses that the new technology is incredible. After a couple more years, they won't even need to dig anymore. But Grant asks, where's the fun in that?
See, and that's kind of how I feel. Like, there's a lot of it that I think just the process of it.
And the discovery.
Yeah. Instead of just being a machine. And also, it's very funny to hear him say, this technology is incredible. And it
It's
looks
like,
like
bloop,
fucking Pong. But at the time, I bet it was incredible.
Yeah.
And I bet it does more than Pong did.
I don't know, man. You ever played Pong?
It was pretty impressive.
But the man says that the image is distorted and he doesn't think it's because of the computer. Ellie explains that this is the posterior neck ligaments contracting post-mortem. She guesses that it's from a velociraptor.
I heard podmortem. I don't
That's
know.
what she said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See,
Laura
podmortem-
Dern knew.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she knew.
That's why we love Laura Dern.
We're in Jurassic Park.
Yeah, don't go back and listen though.
Yeah.
We're in Jurassic Park.
We're the kids in the back.
I was
Like,
like, oh shit!
I don't want to be the kid
No,
that's
no,
No, not that guy.
no.
But Grant confirms this, saying that it's in good condition too. He estimates it to be 5 or 6 feet high and about 9 feet long. That is fucking massive. That is horrifying.
Oh yeah.
But he touches the screen and it gives way to static for a moment. Ellie laughs that Grant is not machine compatible, and Grant agrees, saying that they've got it in for him. He continues, pointing out the half-moon shaped bones in the velociraptor's wrists. He says that this explains how they learned to fly. The crew laughs at this for some reason, but Grant says that he's serious. He says that dinosaurs have more in common with modern day birds than they do reptiles. He cites the velociraptor's pubic bones turned backward like a bird's, as well as the vertebrae, which are filled with hollows and air sacs.
I was just very surprised. I was like, you're laughing.
Yeah.
He told you that dinosaurs evolved into birds, and you're laughing. I was just so confused that it's like he's leading this.
I know, they all laughed in his face.
Yeah.
I didn't get that.
It did seem a bit much. It's like, y'all, this is my dig.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, if you think that's funny, you can go laugh in the fucking car.
Yeah, you can go laugh without getting college credit.
But it is crazy to hear, and I know later on they did that they are saying that some dinosaurs did have feather-like
Yes.
things on them.
And some of the dinosaurs featured in this film that don't actually did.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But if y'all like ever
But if you laugh at me, I'm not signing shit.
have y'all ever really like looked at a bird though?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they
I've seen a bird. Is that what you're asking me?
they got some crazy shit going on. That's
Yeah.
all I was gonna say.
Just a bird? Just a regular bird? Are you all right?
Moving on now. Anyway, so Grant though, He says that even raptor translates to bird of prey.
Yeah, I mean, birds look different than we do, but
Yeah.
you're gonna have to explain to me off mic what you meant.
Like when you go to a zoo and you see like the big ones.
Yeah.
They, their legs and everything. Yeah, I'm just gonna stop.
No, it's wild.
We'll talk later.
Owls have like long legs tucked under there.
Dude,
Yeah.
that is horrifying. I saw that for the first time like a couple years ago. It was like running.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
I feel like a kindred thing with an owl, though.
Owls are cool, but keep those legs covered.
We only got one condition.
Anyway, a random child, volunteer boy played by Rit Hertford, blurts out that it doesn't look very scary. It looks like a 6-foot turkey. The crew chuckles around him. Grant can't miss the opportunity to rock this kid's shit, though. He tells him to just imagine that he's in the Cretaceous period and he sees the 6-foot turkey in a clearing. He moves like a bird, bobbing his head, so he thinks its visual acuity is based on movement like a T-Rex. If he doesn't move, it won't see him, but that's not true. I love that we get a little, let's learn about T-Rexes for a second because it might come in handy later.
And there's also another, like, they really set this up.
Yeah.
It's very smart. I don't agree with how he does it.
Yeah. He says that when he stares at it, it stares right back, and that's when the attack comes. He's flanked by 2 velociraptors that he didn't even know were there from both sides.
I have to say, again, with like just the way you got the music and the cinematography, it's when his fingers go,
Yeah.
you're like, oh, I'm scared.
Yeah. Oh, no. But he explains that velociraptors are pack hunters that use coordinated attacks. He takes a talon out of his pocket. This is where he goes too far.
Yeah.
He takes a talon out of his pocket and presents it to the kid, saying that it will slash at him with this 6-inch retractable claw. It's like a razor on the dinosaur's middle toe. The child's eyes grow wide as Grant circles him. Grant continues that the velociraptor won't bite his jugular like a lion. It will slash at him here and here.
He does it.
Grant lightly but quickly rakes the talon against the boy's shirt and legs. Ellie shakes her head as she chuckles, but makes no move to stop this. I mean, like, John Paul is he's a child.
Well, I think that's what gets me is that this kid is just this. First of all, this kid is there, which where are his parents?
He's someone's child, but they're like, no, fuck him. He needs to learn.
Well,
sick of him always ruining Thanksgiving.
he sounded a little rude about the turkey comment.
He was.
But at the same time, Sattler's like, oh, Alan. It's like, no, step in. He's going to get fired.
Yeah.
I hope he has tenure.
He has to.
Okay.
But Grant says that maybe it'll slash across the kid's belly and spill out his intestines.
All right.
Either way, he'll be alive when they start to eat him. Leaned forward so that he's eye level with the kid, he advises him to show a little respect.
That was too far.
Wow.
I literally said, wow. And I just wrote down some notes because, like, I feel like he was being disrespectful to Dr. Grant.
Yeah.
He wasn't being disrespectful to the velociraptor necessarily.
He's like, it'll take your fucking guts out, kid. Like, it's like, oh my God.
They're holding him back.
But on the cool, even a 6-foot turkey trying to fight 3 ostriches, man.
That's
fuck
still scary.
That.
Yeah, we're done.
But the kid nods and just says, okay. Grant smiles at him and walks away, leaving him, I'm going to say, traumatized.
Yeah, dude, his life flashed before his eyes. He just got murdered by a 6-foot turkey. 3 of them.
As they walk away from the group, Ellie jokes that if he really wanted to scare him, he could have just pulled a gun on him. Grant's like, nah, kids. He asks if she really wants to have one of those, and Ellie clarifies that she doesn't want that kid, but yeah.
That kid's like, I can hear you.
Right.
I can still hear you.
They're all walking in the same direction.
Yeah.
I don't want that kid. She points in his face. She asks what's wrong with kids, and Grant rattles off that they're messy, they're noisy, they're expensive, and they smell. Ellie calls bullshit on the last one, but Grant says that some kids do smell, and babies definitely do. Suddenly, a helicopter flies in, ruining the site where they were unearthing the bones. Ellie and Grant run back, yelling at everyone to cover it up. Tarps are pulled over, and Alan runs over to the helicopter, yelling at the pilot to cut the engine. The pilot doesn't. He only points to a nearby trailer. The blades of the helicopter still whirring, Grant runs to the trailer and lets himself inside. John Hammond, played by Richard Attenborough, is leaned into the fridge, boldly taking out a bottle of champagne.
So Richard Attenborough, right? He was a very prolific actor, but I read in the production notes that since 1979, he was more a director.
Oh.
Okay.
The year before Jurassic Park, he directed Chaplin with Robert Downey Jr.
Oh.
All right.
So he was like doing stuff.
Uh-huh.
And interestingly enough, he's the older brother of David Attenborough,
Oh.
who honestly could have worked with Jurassic Park doing some like voiceovers. He's got a great nature. He does,
Mm-hmm.
You could talk about dinosaurs.
Back to the almost was casting. They almost gave Hammond to Sean Connery.
Okay.
I think that Richard Attenborough gives like this. Obviously, he's a grandfather in the film, but it is a grandfatherly, like kind of this older man that means well, but
Yeah.
it's like, sir, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He adds kind of a lovable quality to a character because in the book he's a monster. He's an asshole.
Then it would have been Sean Connery.
Then it would have been Sean Connery would have been perfect. But I think he brings a level of like sweetness and almost like obliviousness to this.
It's more misguided than malicious.
Exactly. But it is fucking misguided. Incredibly misguided. But when Grant asks what the hell he's doing in there, Hammond turns. The cork pops out of the champagne and Grant yells that they were saving that. With a smile, Hammond assures him that he guarantees they were saving it for today. You know, you gotta love the confidence.
Oh, he's got it. He's full of it.
Grant approaches him and asks who the hell he thinks he is. Hammond introduces himself, shaking the finger that Grant has pointed at him, and addresses him as Dr. Grant when he says that he's delighted to finally meet him in person. He blows dust out of his hand and says that it looks like his $50,000 a year has been well spent. Ellie comes in asking who's the jerk, but Grant swoops in and introduces her as Dr. Sattler, their paleobotanist.
Why are Sattler and Grant just ready to fight?
Well, who are you?
Yeah, but he's obviously here for a reason.
But they're blowing, the helicopter's blowing shit around their
Yeah.
dig. Like, you're popping our champagne. Like, it's a lot of nerve,
Well, but only somebody that has something to say would do any of these things.
I guess.
He's like, oh, I just live down there.
I'm thirsty. But Grant's like, this is Mr. Hammond. Ellie goes, did I say jerk? Hammond shakes her hand and apologizes for the dramatic entrance and invites them to have a drink of their own champagne. As he looks through the small kitchen for glasses, he says that he'll get to the point and that he likes them both. He says that he has a gift that he can know that about people right away. He tells them that he has an island off the coast of Costa Rica that he's leased from the government. Over the last 5 years, he's been setting up a biological preserve that he promises is spectacular because he's spared no expense. He really likes boasting about that.
Yes.
He says that a lot.
He does. He says that he has no doubts that his attraction will drive kids out of their minds. Grant asks, what are those? And Ellie tells him small versions of adults. I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
'Cause he was talking about the attraction. Hammond only continues that it won't only be the kids either. Everyone will be driven out of their minds. They plan to open next year, but that's only if the lawyers don't kill it first.
Okay, so he says that very casually.
Yeah.
As if his unopened park hasn't murdered a man.
I was like, as if nobody's died
Yeah.
already.
Yeah, but he's trying to plant that seed now because he's going to be there, but they don't know that yet. So when they see him, it's like, oh, that must be the lawyer he was talking about.
Yeah.
And a little later he's kind of sleazy, but he is trying to do the first we get to him, he's talking about the inspection.
Yes.
And that's like, it's like, okay, that's why we need y'all here.
Yeah.
You're not saying that.
No.
You're not saying that.
Not at first.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I read that Spielberg kind of made Hammond a little more lovable.
Yeah.
Because the love for showmanship that we come to identify with him, Spielberg saw himself in that.
Well, there's an aspect of the park that he plays a huge part in.
Yeah.
That That is quite frankly very charming. And I'm like, all right, I'm on board.
Yeah. Okay, Hammond.
And it's like you said earlier, T. If it was Sean Connery, it wouldn't give off that feel at all.
No, it wouldn't.
Like it wouldn't. I wouldn't get anything that he does like throughout the movie. I would just, oh, you're just bad.
He's like, no, shut down. Buckle it. And it's
are you threatening me?
But Hammond says that he doesn't like lawyers and asks if they do. They say that they don't really know any, but Hammond's like, I do.
See, there it is.
He says there's one specifically that he describes as a pebble in his shoe. This lawyer represents his investors, and the investors want outside opinions. Ellie asks what kind, and Hammond tells her their kind. They are the top minds in their respective fields. As he pours the champagne, he says that if he could just persuade them to give their endorsement and sign off on his park, he could get back on schedule. He makes it sound like, oh, just like, it's fine. Like, just sign here, you know.
But that again, you're not saying the accident, what happened.
Not at all.
You're not saying that it needs an inspection. This needs to be full of, we need to know if this is safe.
Yeah.
You're not saying any of that.
You're right. He's really making it just sound like we want a professional endorsement.
Yeah.
That's really all that he's giving them.
You're going to be the face of the park is what we're trying to
It's called Grantland.
Sattler Island. How about it? It's an offshoot.
But Ellie asks why they would care what they think, and Grant just wants to know what kind of park this is. Handing them glasses of champagne, Hammond smiles and says it's right up their alley. It's like, you are being too fucking fake. Can you just tell me what's going on? He invites the two of them to come for the weekend and says that he has a jet standing by for them. He hoists himself up onto the counter and pours his own drink, waiting on a response. I thought this was adorable. Grant breaks it to him that this just isn't possible. They just dug up a skeleton. Hammond asks if he could sweeten the deal by fully funding their dig. Grant continues that it's just a very unusual time for them, but Hammond finishes his sentence. For a further 3 years.
So this is a bribe.
Yeah.
1,000%.
And nobody talks about that.
See, that's what I was confused about, because earlier didn't he say, oh, there's my 50,000 well spent or whatever?
Yeah, he did.
So where did that come? Are you already, or is this from the school, or is this like,
I guess that he's funding what they're doing right now, because
Yeah.
that's why they were like, oh, it's Hammond. Oh, thank you, Hammond.
Yeah,
or whatever. But yeah, this is.
I just want everyone to know that they didn't see you like bowing. Bowing like he's the ruler.
That's kind of what they did. That's kind of what they did. But Ellie and Grant clink glasses, and in the wake of Grant's newfound inability to speak, Ellie simply asks, where's the plane? They cheers their glasses, and Grant and Ellie hug each other excitedly.
Accepting the bribe.
1,000%. In San Jose, Costa Rica, Dr. Louis Dodgson, played by Cameron Thor, arrives at an outdoor market. He gets out of the taxi carrying suitcases with a hat and sunglasses concealing most of his face. Dennis Nedry, played by Wayne Knight, sits in an outdoor dining area enjoying his meal.
Hello, Nedry. I just want to talk about Wayne Knight for a minute.
Oh my God.
Because this dude is an underrated actor.
I feel like the word when he's like doing his happy thing, glee. I don't think anybody expresses glee
No.
the way that he does.
And I mean, I think they said that he was cast based on, because he was in Basic Instinct.
Uh-huh.
And then I think in the 90s he was also in JFK.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which makes that scene in Seinfeld even
Exactly,
funnier.
yeah.
But like he was killing it.
Yeah.
On the biggest show on TV. Like
Yeah.
Wayne Knight, he's great.
And
Oh,
he's
yeah.
very funny. I don't
Yes.
think that he gets credit for his timing and shit. Like, he's very funny.
No, he called broccoli a vile weed. He was wrong, but it was hilarious.
It was funny. As a kid, I'm like, yeah,
We don't eat our vegetables or whatever.
I hate vegetables.
We've changed.
But when he sees Dodgson, he loudly calls his name and waves him over. Dodgson sits with him, but tells him that he shouldn't use his name. In response to this, Nedry loudly says that they've got Dodgson over here. And when literally no one makes any reaction, he flatly tells Dodgson, see, no one cares.
So there's a ridiculous amount of memes that come from
Oh,
this
yeah.
Yeah.
film. Like just
Oh,
entirely.
yeah. And that's one of them for sure.
Yeah. Oh, bitch ass dude didn't even close the door when he got out the cab either.
He didn't.
Do you see dude was behind him
Yeah.
yelling at him? He's like,
That was
"Man."
rude.
So now we know what kind of guy he is.
Yeah.
That's all we need to know. But Nedry snatches the hat off of his head, asking if he's trying to look like a secret agent. Dodge then hands over one of the bags, saying that there's $750,000 inside. With the delivery of a viable embryo, Nedry will get $50,000 more. He's in for $1.5 million if he's able to get all 15 species off the island.
So this is the Glee you're talking about.
Yeah. Upon receipt of the bag, Nedry is giddy, giggling and literally kicking his feet. Dodgson reminds him that the embryos have to be viable. They're useless if they don't survive. Nedry asks how he's supposed to transport them, and Dodgson takes out a trick can of Barbasol shaving cream. He reveals that you can twist off the bottom and there's a cool and compartmentalized container inside to keep the embryos. Nedry squeals with delight and laughs. I know there is a debate whether it's the can or Nedry making that sound. To me, it is absolutely Nedry.
I have to say that I know that Wayne Knight is capable,
He's capable
Yeah.
of making this sound, so that's why this mystery is pursued.
Yeah.
Pursued. Perpetuated.
Right.
All right.
Myth busted. I guess. I don't know.
I didn't even know that was a thing. I just thought it was him.
We were asked on Talk Mortem one time what we think was
If it
making that
was-
sound.
Yeah.
If it was the Barbasol can or Wayne
Yeah.
Knight.
Yeah, I think it was just him.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I honestly, I gotta say, not to be a contrarian, I think that Wayne Knight can do this. But it was the can. I think it was the can.
What do y'all think?
Yeah.
Let us know on Twitter. But Dodgson says that Customs can even check it, and Nedry sprays shaving cream into his hand. It is a perfect dupe. Dodgson tells him that there's enough coolant inside for 36 hours. The embryos have to be delivered back to San Jose by then. Nedry tells him that that's really up to his guy with the boat. He tells him to make sure that the guy has it right. 7:00 tomorrow on the East Dock.
I did laugh as Nedry discards the shaving cream as if it were whipped cream
He
Yeah.
did.
On a pie.
on a
He
pie
did.
at the next table.
It's disrespectful to the pie, but
Yeah. Also, whoever's eating
Yeah.
that pie.
yeah.
Dude, this pie tastes like shit. You need to talk to the chef or something.
Yeah.
I did also want to talk about the can itself. I did see an interview on that documentary with John Bell, who was the art director.
Mm-hmm.
He was talking about, and this to me, I think this is what always astounds me whenever you think of just like things that become iconic, because in Jurassic Park, this Barbasol can's pretty iconic.
Yeah.
But the way that he found it is he literally just went to a drugstore and it was the one that stood out to him on the shelf.
Yeah.
And then he takes it to props and they just make it into what it is.
That's great.
Just that simple.
Yeah. And that's pretty cool little idea to have it open up in the bottom and kind of keep them in there like that.
Yeah.
Because and again, in 93, that's like some spy shit. And it's like, oh man, this fucking dude's going to try to use that? Yeah, let's see what happens.
And the fact that shaving cream really came out
Yeah.
of it, I thought that was pretty cool.
You said it was a good dupe.
It was.
Yeah.
But Dodgson asks how Nedry is planning to beat security, but Nedry confidently says that he has an 18-minute window. Then Dodgson's company will be able to catch up on 10 years of research. Nedry's server brings the bill over, and Nedry's eyes dart between the bill and Dodgson. When Dodgson doesn't move, Nedry advises him not to go cheap on him because that was Hammond's mistake. He continues eating as Dodgson scoops up the bill.
But he just got a bag of money.
He did, which
He's like, no, but pay for my food.
yeah, this is untouched. I'm not but
I'm not breaking into this for food.
it's very funny to me what that line about Hammond sets up later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's one moment that just makes me laugh so hard because it's like, oh, he was serious.
Inside of a helicopter, Grant sits next to Ellie as he fiddles with the Raptor Talon. Across from them sits Gennaro and Dr. Ian Malcolm, played by Jeff fucking Goldblum.
Man,
Yeah.
the man himself.
I did see an interview. It was a thing for the 30th anniversary with Jeff Goldblum.
Uh-huh.
And he was saying that he got Crichton's book and he read it and he loved it. He's like, loved, he read it and then he met with Steven Spielberg, and Steven Spielberg was like, I didn't want to break the meeting with you, but in the most recent drafts of the script, Malcolm's not really in it anymore. And so Jeff Goldblum was like that he really wanted to do it. And he said that he thought of a random moment in the book. He was like, it was of no consequence, that he was like, that could be interesting to see. And that Spielberg was like, oh, I don't know, we'll think about it. But he was like, but it got me in, you know? And then he was like, that it changed his life.
So he was able to get it in.
He got it in.
Get it in.
Jeff Goldblum gets it in. Like, let's be very clear.
This is Jurassic Park.
We're
dude.
talking about the script.
You guys are gross. All I wanted to say is that Jeff Goldblum is like the most effortlessly cool person
He's perfection.
I've ever seen. And I was laughing as well about Grant bringing that talent. He's like, in case there are some kids on this island who need some education.
I will not hesitate. But Malcolm asks Grant and Ellie if they dig up dinosaurs, and Ellie laughs. Grant answers that they try to, and Malcolm laughs his ass off for some reason. Hammond tells Ellie and Grant that they'll have to get used to Malcolm because he suffers from an excessive personality, especially for a mathematician. Malcolm corrects him, a chaotician. He says that Hammond just doesn't subscribe to chaos, especially what it has to say about his project. Hammond rebuts that Malcolm's concerns have never been sufficiently explained, which I doubt. I really don't think that's true.
He doesn't seem like a guy who keeps...
Not at all. The two begin to bicker, but Malcolm turns his attentions back to Grant and Ellie. He asks if they've ever heard of chaos theory. They say no. He's baffled. Nonlinear equation? No. Strange attractors? No. After a moment, he tells Ellie that he refuses to believe that she isn't familiar with the concept of attraction. I was like,
Oh.
Yeah.
oh? Ellie just looks away smiling. The camera presses in on Hammond, who tells Gennaro that he brought scientists, but Gennaro brought a rock star. His annoyance is tempered, though, as he looks out his window and dreamily declares, there it is.
So I did want to talk about the kind of, I guess, dynamic between Malcolm and Sattler and Grant.
Oh, my God.
This apparently was added by David Koepp
Okay.
whenever it came time for him to do some rewrites on the screenplay. And I did want to make mention, because I said it in a few of the articles I read and on the production notes, but David Koepp got this writing gig because, as we know, Zemeckis and Spielberg are friends. And the year prior,
Say it.
Death Becomes Her.
Absolutely.
So, it, you know,
Yeah.
it's all connected.
And again,
Hell yeah.
we've sang that dude's praises on the show so many times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't he do Star of Echoes?
Yeah.
I mean, come on, man.
He's a busy man.
Wild. But the Jurassic Park theme plays as the helicopter glides through the mountains. Inside, Hammond warns them to hang on because they have to drop quickly, but it will be thrilling. He's like a Willy Wonka.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Yeah.
just, this is scary. It's not thrilling. I'm scared. But he laughs as the helicopter shakes them, dropping quickly as he promised. Gennaro and Malcolm snap on their seatbelts, and when Grant tries to put his on, he has two of the same piece and is unable to connect them. He looks confused, and Malcolm smiles at him, kind of smugly.
Yeah.
Hammond tries to talk him through connecting the proper parts together, but says that they'll have landed by the time Grant figures it out. In response to this, Grant just ties a knot over his waist. It works.
So I was like, they're kind of setting him up as a problem solver,
Yeah.
Yeah.
improviser.
Yeah, that's very
Yeah.
true.
You know, I did want to call it the music, of course.
Yeah.
John Williams, of course. They had talked about, because I guess Spielberg, whenever he was going to make Jurassic Park, he was already getting Schindler's List greenlit.
Oh, shit.
And so he had to make Jurassic Park first, and then he got to go make Schindler's List. But the thing is that during the production of Schindler's List, he's handling all the post-production for Jurassic Park.
Oh, okay.
And so whenever they were filming Jurassic Park, they didn't have the music for it yet. And so all Spielberg had were these temp piano tracks that John Williams had showed him that would be fleshed out later.
Okay.
So we had an idea of what the theme would sound like, but it wasn't until he was making Schindler's List and they were sending him the stuff in post-production that he got the full effect of it,
Ah, all right, all right.
the full orchestra. And it became, of course, one of the most iconic themes of all time.
Yeah.
I was going to say, you want to talk about iconic?
Yes.
Yeah.
That theme.
But that theme continues boldly as the helicopter drops straight down onto a landing pad. Hammond is the first out of the helicopter and looks around proudly. He puts his arms around Ellie and Grant as they get out. They get into Jeeps with that Jurassic Park logo on the doors. They ride through the island as the helicopter departs. Every fence that the vehicles are allowed into are promptly closed and locked behind them with signs that warn of 10,000 volts of electricity.
So I was very curious about 10,000 volts. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, well, what could 10,000 volts do to a human body? And so I look it up and I go and Google it. And this is the smugness of the internet, right?
Oh, no.
I look at it and this like electrician answers in this like Quora post. And he's like, whatever it wants. And I'm like, look, I just want to know if you're going to see my skeleton or not.
Well, that sounds like something Malcolm would say.
Yeah, I know.
If you're going to see my skeleton.
That's
Somebody
all.
will. You won't.
Yeah, you're not going to
Yeah, I don't get to see it. I get to. It's a privilege.
I want to see a skeleton.
I want to see my skeleton.
But Ellie, Grant, and Malcolm are being driven in the front car. Hammond and Gennaro ride in the second car, and the lawyer worriedly asks Hammond if the full 50 miles of perimeter fence are in place. Hammond confirms that not only is the fence in place, but there are concrete moats and motion sensor tracking systems as well. He tells Gennaro to just relax and enjoy himself. Gennaro smiles, but reminds Hammond that this isn't a weekend excursion. The thing is, he knows what's at stake and what has happened.
Yeah.
So he's not so easily like, no, just relax.
Yeah.
Like, it'll be thrilling. He says it's a serious investigation of the sustainability of the island. Hammond's investors that Gennaro represents are extremely concerned. If by the end of the weekend the experts aren't convinced, then Gennaro won't be either, and he will shut all of this down. Hammond laughs and assures Gennaro that in 48 hours, he will be accepting an apology from him.
But he's still worried about the inspection right now. That's what we need to worry about.
He's like, oh, you're going to be so fucking sorry,
Yeah.
dude. You're going to have so much fun here.
Come on,
Yeah, hold on.
let's check in with this
Slow
character. In about 6
Slow
hours.
But the Jeeps continue through a vast field of beautiful green grass. Hammond stands up in the back seat and tells the driver to stop. Ellie consults a huge leaf in her hands, muttering that this shouldn't be here, but their driver stops too. Grant stares out into the field and rips off his hat in disbelief. He pulls himself to his feet and shakes as he fumbles his sunglasses off. Ellie is still looking down at the leaf, saying that this species of variformin has been extinct since the Cretaceous period. Standing in the back seat behind her and lost for words, Grant simply grabs the top of her head and turns it in the direction that he's looking. Ellie's reaction is the same. She rips off her sunglasses and rises to her feet next to Grant as a Brachiosaurus struts by, crying out into the sky.
So this, for me, is one of the most, I mean, you have all these iconic moments, but the first sighting of the first dinosaur by them.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, just the suspense of the shot of not pulling the trigger and showing you what they're looking at yet.
Yeah.
It's very, very well done.
So I read an article on the State Journal Register. They were talking about with the sound designer Gary Rydstrom. And it was an interview he did with Vulture, and he was talking about the sounds that they used for a lot of these dinosaurs. Some of them are a little, the way they got them. But the sound we actually hear here for these Brachiosauruses, okay, is actually the sound of a donkey slowed down and its pitch changed some. So he did have to fine tune it and kind of work it around. But this is just like the bray of a donkey.
Yeah.
I mean,
it works.
It does.
Because it's like it you're in awe at that moment. You know what I mean? Like it works.
Because I thought, so I was like, okay, let me go check it out, whatever.
Oh yeah.
There were a lot of dinosaur sounds that I thought were whale sounds, or to me sounded like, especially later, a thing that happens later. I was like, oh, that they used whales. Like, sure.
There are no whales. I was very surprised.
That is very surprising.
Shows what I know.
There was a moment of silence.
I was like, all right.
I'm sorry. Rydstrom actually, he's been nominated for, I think, 7 Oscars in his career.
Damn.
And he won 2 Oscars for sound for Jurassic Park.
Damn. Okay.
He deserved it.
He
yeah.
did.
But Grant and Ellie jump out of the Jeep and follow the dinosaur, staring in awe. Like a proud father, Hammond gets out of his and comes over to them smiling. Malcolm stays behind, sitting behind the unfazed driver. He says, "You did it. You crazy son of a bitch. You did it." Grant and Ellie are inspecting the dinosaur up close, and Grant comments that they've always been wrong. They're not cold-blooded at all. They're warm-blooded. He estimates its neck at 25 or 27 feet long, but Hammond comes up behind him, still beaming, and corrects him that it's 30 feet long.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
No.
Like, we fed a giraffe once,
Yeah.
and that was staggering.
Yeah.
I really, that is unbelievable.
Really thinking about it too, like, because we used to go to the zoo a lot, seeing the rhinos there and how big the rhinoceroses are, thinking about that, that's tiny compared to what they
comparatively,
say.
yeah.
And then when we go to the Pearl Museum, and then
The fossils,
yeah.
you're like, I mean, just like in disbelief.
No, this park is terrifying.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, dude. I understand that we're all in a sense of wonder looking at this Brachiosaurus doing his thing.
Yeah.
But the thing is that I don't care. It is
Doing his thing.
He was.
Eating,
Yeah.
walking.
Look, she's a herbivore.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yes.
But that doesn't stop you from being a pancake. If you be careful. They're
Yeah.
so close to this
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
That's an accident. That's not about eating.
Yeah.
It's a safety hazard. Really.
Yeah.
Gennaro, do you see this shit?
They're letting me stand right here.
Yeah. Right, safety, man. Inspection. What are you doing?
Yeah, Jesus.
This isn't even a street right here.
The Brachiosaurus lets loose another cry as it raises to its hind legs and bites some leaves off of a tree. The earth quakes when it brings its full weight down. Still stunned in the passenger seat of the second Jeep, Gennaro has lost all objectivity and muses that they're going to make a fortune with this place.
Yes, yes. But inspection.
I know.
Yeah,
Can you fucking focus, please?
But what would you think, though, really?
I don't know if I think your brain would struggle to even comprehend what you were seeing.
Yeah.
It's a dinosaur.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not meant to see those.
No, not now. Not now.
Maybe in the 90s.
Yeah. When?
Maybe 30 years ago. Not now. Even Malcolm can't help himself but laugh as he stares up at the creature. Grant asks how fast they are, and Hammond casually says that they've clocked the T-Rex at 32 miles per hour.
Look.
That's the scariest fucking thing I've ever heard.
I don't think am I wrong? I think people can run maybe 20?
I don't know.
18 maybe? We're not going to survive.
Not as fast, no. Ellie is like, a T-Rex? She asks if he has a T-Rex, and he says yes. Grant rushes over to him and grabs his shoulder, imploring him to say it again. And with a smile, Hammond does. We've got a T-Rex.
I'm sorry. I don't think a person can run 20 miles an hour.
I was like, I don't know, dude.
That bold dude, he's fucking
I
fast.
trust you.
Maybe it's closer to 12. Because that's ridiculous. A T-Rex, though.
Yeah.
I feel like I understand, you got the big name, like the A-list dinosaurs.
Oh, yeah.
But at the same time, maybe some of these dinosaurs we shouldn't bring back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hubris. It's, I don't know.
But thinking about it too, she's there looking at the plants and she's like, this shouldn't be here. So where'd you get all this shit from?
Yeah.
Like, we know what he likes to eat.
Yeah.
Bring it in. They spared no expense.
Yes.
All right.
Ellie has to instruct Grant to put his head between his knees as his legs buckle and he's forced to sit in the grass. Ellie sits down next to him and they look over at a nearby pond. 2 Brachiosaurus walk out of the water together and another group of dinosaurs gather at its edge.
This made me laugh out loud because we're so entranced by this Brachiosaurus that's eating in front of us.
There's more.
Yeah. They're like, oh, look, there's also 14 dinosaurs over there. It's beyond, dude.
14.
There was a lot.
Yeah.
Grant is stricken with the fact that for the first time, they know for a fact that they do move in herds. Hammond comes over to kneel in the grass with them, and Grant asks him sincerely how he did this. Hammond whispers that he'll show him. The Jeeps travel to the visitor center, and Hammond leads the way inside. A banner hangs overhead above 2 erected dinosaur skeletons reading, "When Dinosaurs Ruled the Earth." Hammond says that this is the most advanced amusement park in the world. He says that they have all the latest technology. Everyone has rides, but they have living biological attractions. He promises that they will capture the imagination of the entire planet. As they climb a flight of stairs behind Hammond, Ellie asks what Grant is thinking, and he tells her that he thinks they're out of a job. With a smile, Malcolm asks, "Don't you mean extinct?"
All right.
Very good.
You're silly, but yeah, I don't. We have no income.
We're fine,
We're ruined. So.
but make your jokes.
Remember that line, though, because there's something kind of bonkers behind the scenes connected to it.
All right.
But we travel up the side of the dinosaur skeleton and are able to see the yawning jaws and formidable teeth in its skull. Hammond leads them to a small theater. Gennaro sits in the back row, and Malcolm, Ellie, and Grant sit in front of him. Hammond says, "Oh, here he comes," as a man walks up on the screen in front of them, but it's just Hammond on the video.
Yeah.
The Hammond on the screen says hello to himself, and Hammond suddenly remembers that he has lines to say back. As he fumbles in his pocket for them, his screen self continues with the conversation, replying that he's fine, but asking how he got here. Real life Hammond replies that he'll show him, but he needs a drop of his blood. Screen Hammond holds out his finger, and Hammond pretends to prick it with a needle. Screen Hammond whines that it hurt, but Hammond assures him that it's all part of the miracle of cloning.
So, okay, this is when we start getting a little murky, morality-wise, but I will say this video is great.
Yeah. Oh, no, it is.
Another Hammond appears next to Screen Hammond, then another, each identical. They're losing the crowd, though. Grant leans over and ponders what they've cloned them from, because their extractions have never recreated an intact strand of DNA. Malcolm agrees. They've never done it without massive sequence gaps. Hammond struts by, and we see a glimpse of a giant ball of amber on the end of his cane. Ellie asks what source they got the paleo DNA from. Where do you get 100 million year old dinosaur blood? Grant and Malcolm look equally confused, but I guess the 100 Hammonds bit is over, because behind them, leaning on the backs of their seats, Gennaro goes, "Shh." He's in.
Yeah, he's like, it's starting to get real good. So don't distract me.
On the screen, a cartoon sequence of DNA dances on the tip of Hammond's finger. He asks where it came from, and the strand explains that it came from his blood. Just one drop of blood contains billions of strands of DNA, which are the building blocks of life. Bit conceited. He says that a DNA strand is the blueprint for building a living thing. The animation continues as it morphs into the shape of a Brachiosaurus. He goes on that animals that went extinct millions of years ago, like the dinosaurs, left their blueprints behind, and all they needed to do was know where to look. A cartoon mosquito is getting its fill of blood from a cartoon dinosaur as the DNA continues that there were mosquitoes back then just like there are today, and they would feed on the blood of animals. Sometimes, full of the blood of a dinosaur, a mosquito would land on a tree and get stuck in the sap. We see a real mosquito being overtaken by the sap's sweet, sweet goodness. I don't know why I wrote that.
Were you hungry?
I was probably hungry.
Were you eating pancakes?
It's not honey.
Yeah, it's not syrup either.
I don't know, man.
It encased the mosquito for millions of years. And now he's in fucking his dude's cane.
Yeah.
That's not the life he thought of.
This is like that smooth sand all over again.
From the cell. Just want to take a bite out of it.
I did.
Yeah, you did?
I wanted to.
Oh. I was like, I don't know how you did that. Go on. DNA strand.
But after this, the sap is fossilized just like a bone. Cartoon men retrieve the encased mosquito, and a real scientist extracts the blood. The DNA says that the amber preserved the mosquito until Jurassic Park scientists could come along and take the blood. That's where they got the DNA. Malcolm leans forward in his seat as the DNA continues, standing in front of a screen with letters racing by. He says that one single strand of DNA contains 3 billion genetic codes. He references the screen behind him and says that if we looked at one of those per second for 8 hours a day, it would still take 2 years to look at the whole strand. But since the strand is so old, it's full of holes, and that's where the geneticists come in. We see the scientists all working as he says that computers and gene sequencers break down the strand and VR representations of the strand show the holes. They use frog DNA to fill the holes and complete the sequence. Now they can make a baby dinosaur. An egg appears and from it, a giant dinosaur comes out. Hammond assures them that they'll get something much more dramatic for the score here, but this is where the tour moves on. Belts in front of them come down and lock into place as the theater becomes mobile. The DNA continues narrating the experience, but he's not the star of the show anymore. We see the scientists hard at work in their lab behind a glass window. Gennaro tells Hammond that this is overwhelming. He asks if the people behind the glass are autoerotica, but Hammond knows what he means and says no, they're not animatronic.
A little dino quorum, please.
I was like, Gennaro?
Yeah, does he know what we're saying?
What is he talking about?
But Hammond says that they are the real miracle workers of Jurassic Park. Just as a scientist gently places an egg in a grass-filled incubator, they slide past the window. I'm done explaining all the DNA stuff now, so if you fell asleep, please wake up and listen to the rest of the show.
You're only... Because you did great.
Oh, thank you.
The only unfortunate thing is that you were not a cartoon strand of DNA.
I wasn't, and I should have put on an accent or something, because that DNA had a...
The way he was saying dinosaur...
Dinosaur.
never...
He was really into it.
Maybe I've been saying it wrong.
There were some extra corners in there.
Yes.
But Grant is like, wait a minute. He asks how they interrupt cellular mitosis. Ellie asks to see the unfertilized eggs, but placating them like children, Hammond tells them to wait. Grant doesn't want to, though, and tries to lift up the bar in front of him, but Hammond tells him that it's a ride. It's not stopping. Malcolm calmly counts to 3, and he, Grant, and Ellie lift the row of bars off of the 3 of them and promptly get off the ride.
That made me laugh so hard.
Yeah.
Like, it's a ride you can't get off. All right, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, because they don't even coordinate. They all knew. He's
Yeah.
like, 1, 2, 3. Like, we're getting the fuck out of here.
But again, safety. They shouldn't be able to do that. What the fuck?
Hammond goes after them, and Gennaro does too, saying that they can't do that. But then he's like, can they? To Hammond. Naturally, the scientists head to the lab. A very familiar voice speaks over the intercom with the reminder that the boat leaves for the mainland at 1900 hours and everyone needs to be at the dock no later than 1845 with no exceptions. I guess because there's no sense in fighting them, Hammond leads them down to the lab. He greets Henry Wu, played by B.D. Wong.
Yes.
Which it's my understanding that he plays a really huge role in the novel.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but he's only in this one scene, and
Yeah.
he's fucking B.D. Wong.
Yeah, we love B.D. Wong.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
White Rose,
Yes.
Mr. Robot.
Of course. But Ellie, Grant, and Malcolm immediately go to the eggs. A machine rotates them, but there is one that begins to shake on its own. Wu comes over happily, saying that he was hoping it would hatch before he had to get to the boat. Hammond comes over excitedly, asking why Wu didn't call him because he insists on being here when they're born.
Okay, so this is very strange to me, and I don't understand why fucking Hammond is being Burns with Robot Homer. He's like, hello,
I'm your daddy.
Like, why are we doing this?
It's a bit weird.
Yeah.
Well, the fact it didn't even start hatching yet, and he's like, "Why didn't you call me?"
Yeah, you son of a bitch. It's like, dude,
What does he say?
Calm down.
He's like, I'm here for all of them.
Yeah.
It's like, come on.
Which is
stop
too
that.
big.
Yeah, chill out.
because he says what they imprint.
Yes, we'll get there. We'll get
Okay,
there.
I was like, this is too much.
But he gently encourages the baby as it pushes through its shell. Finally, its head emerges and it lightly squeaks as Hammond pulls bits of shell off of it. He tells Grant and Ellie, who are leaned in very close now, that they imprint on the first creature they come into contact with, and that will help it to trust him.
But why do we need this dinosaur to trust me? Him.
Yeah.
Like, why do we need it to trust him?
Only him.
Only him.
Yeah.
Hammond is talking about himself, but Grant is pointing at his own chest for the baby's attention. Hammond boasts that he's been there for the birth of every single dinosaur on the island. Malcolm counters that Hammond surely wasn't there for the ones that were born in the wild, but Wu corrects him. They actually can't breed in the wild. A security precaution is population control, so Jurassic Park does not permit unauthorized breeding. Ellie and Grant are still taken with the baby, but Malcolm asks how he's sure that they can't breed. The answer Wu gives him is simple. All the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park are female. As Hammond continues helping the baby out of the shell, they discuss its temperature. When Wu reports it to be 91 degrees, Ellie is amazed that it can hold that temperature. Malcolm walks around to the side of the table where Wu stands by Ellie and Grant. When Grant picks up the empty eggshell, the machine that was rotating them snatches it away. Malcolm still isn't placated, though. He asks Wu how they can know that they're all female. Wu says it's not really that difficult because they control the chromosomes, and all vertebrate embryos are inherently female anyway. When the extra hormone is introduced, they become male, and they just deprive them of that hormone. Malcolm insists that what Wu is proposing simply isn't possible. He cites the theory of evolution, which taught us that life will not be contained. Life breaks free and breaks through barriers and territories, whether it be painful or dangerous. Malcolm is met with a group of blank stares, but Wu asks if he's implying that a group made entirely of female animals will be able to breed. Malcolm isn't saying that, though. He's saying that life, finds a way.
I just love how aggressively Jeff Goldblum he is and everything.
Oh, yeah.
He can't help himself.
There come points that I'm like, this wasn't even scripted, was it?
Yeah.
Brundle, Seth. And I had mentioned earlier that Spielberg saw himself in Hammond. Crichton says he sees himself in Malcolm.
Well, because he's the coolest.
And it is interesting because they have Hammond dressed in all white, like a little old angel. And then Malcolm is like edgy and cool and all black, you know?
Well, my thing is with Wu as a geneticist, shouldn't he like know this stuff
He's
about
like,
evolution?
no.
Yeah.
You know, he's like, that's not true.
Again, it's hubris. I think that they think that they're so in control of everything that, yeah, that may be true, but not here. Like here, we've got it under control.
He should know better.
Yeah.
They should all know better.
Well, Jurassic Park has its own rules, so it's like, no, it doesn't.
That doesn't. Nature doesn't apply here.
They spared no expense.
Apparently.
Yeah,
So I've
clearly.
heard.
But Grant cradles the squealing baby and asks Wu its species. Wu identifies it as a velociraptor, and Grant seems astounded that they've bred them. He's like, do you know what a velociraptor is?
Here's my claw or whatever.
No, that's just for the kids.
Oh, okay.
But at the fence outside, a dinosaur screams. The whole crew is outside, but Hammond trails behind them, telling Grant that he's prepared for them to have a lunch before they go out to the park. Grant just wants to know what's going on at the fence, and we see a cow being raised above their heads. Hammond says that they're being fed and then advertises Chef Alejandro's Chilean sea bass. It's like, dude, we're like,
This is a big deal.
we want to see
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, I will say in the subtitles it said mooing in fear,
Oh,
which is horrible.
Poor cow.
that's sad. Obviously, they want to see what's going on, and they watch as the cow is lowered into an enclosure. We don't see the creatures, but all of the greenery shakes as the cow is devoured. It's decoured.
Oh, come on now.
Okay, sorry. Moving on.
I will say this is pretty fresh, but we're already getting to the darker sides of this park.
Yeah.
Yes.
To where we're like, oh, just a cow a day.
Yeah.
It's like, wait, what?
That's a lot.
This is
Seems like a lot.
Yeah.
a lot.
Muldoon comes over to them, asserting that they should all be destroyed. Hammond introduces Muldoon as his game warden from Kenya. He calls him an alarmist, but says that he knows more about raptors than anyone else. So just by that fact alone, don't you think you should fucking listen to what the man is saying?
He watched his buddy get eaten, man.
Yeah.
He's being dramatic, but like he knows everything.
Yeah.
What an odd joining of thoughts. God, he's so...
Like, are you even listening
Like,
to yourself?
You just said he's the expert.
Yeah.
You told me that. I wouldn't know that.
Grant tries to ask questions about metabolism and growth rate, but Muldoon says that they are lethal even at 8 months. He says that he's hunted most things that can kill you, but raptors move at cheetah speed.
All right, now.
That's enough.
Yeah.
Like, you don't get to have claws and that. Like, pick one.
Somebody put in a cheat code. And again, these look. I understand. Everybody's heard of a raptor,
Yeah.
right? Not just Toronto. I don't think. I don't even know if there's still a team there. But it doesn't
Anyway.
matter. All I'm trying to say is that sometimes the name brand isn't as important as the safety of your park goers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can talk about the raptor all day.
Well, because that's
You don't have to have 50 of them.
That's even
Yeah,
what he's
no
saying.
shit.
That he's like, destroy all of them. Like, you should not even have them. And again, by Hammond's own admission, he is the expert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If somebody's an expert on something and they're like, you should not be fucking with that, you should probably listen.
Well, but what do? We have an entire batch of basically every country that doesn't listen to the experts,
Yeah.
and instead,
But where does that get us, Steve?
the Earth's not gonna make it.
I've got some really bad
Yeah,
news.
it's getting hotter every goddamn day. Is where we're at.
That's what happens when you don't listen.
Yes.
But not only can the Raptors go 50 to 60 miles per hour, they're also great jumpers.
See, we just need the triceratops,
Yes.
the Brachiosaurus,
That's fine.
Brachiosaurus.
Yes, yeah.
Need a couple of the other ones with the giant fins on their back or whatever. Then is there Dilophosaurus somewhere or something?
believe they
or,
exist.
And we know you love
Platypilosaurus
We
or
know you
whatever.
love a pterodactyl.
Yeah,
Yes.
pterodactyl.
You
There
know?
you go. Snorlax. We got a couple of those
Maybe-
Now
around.
that I don't know. Now,
I would love.
Yeah.
I would love to see a Snorlax.
I want to see it the most.
Yeah.
Right, we don't need the T-Rex. We don't
No.
need the Raptors.
I
We
would
don't need
say
any of that.
If you have to do this, maybe just the herbivores.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
I
you don't
feel
have to
like-
worry.
I feel like that's astonishing enough.
Oh yeah.
I don't
Like you
think-
said, we don't need the name
Yeah.
brand.
I don't think any kid's gonna come to this park and be like, "Yeah, but where's the Raptors? Get that kid out of here!"
That kid's definitely not going to be saying that after 5 minutes with Grant.
Yeah.
No, you want to know what a raptor can do, dude? You gotta leave.
Who
You're
let him back in
scaring
here?
all the children every day.
But Muldoon's going on about the speed and the ability to jump, and Hammond's like, all right, that's enough. He steps in and says that this is why they're taking such extreme precaution. He turns around to talk to Ellie, but Grant and Muldoon continue.
You say you're taking extreme precaution. A man died like yesterday.
That's the
Yeah.
thing, is we've still not disclosed that
No.
to our experts. Nobody's told them that.
Yeah, not at all.
When Grant asks Muldoon if they show intelligence, he says that they show extreme intelligence, even problem solving, especially the big one.
See, yeah, we don't need them. We don't need them.
This was a terrible.
Yeah,
Every next thing that you say is worse than the last thing you said.
we're gonna die, aren't we?
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a rough day here at
Yeah.
Jurassic Park.
He says that they initially bred 8, but she came in and took over the pride and killed all but 2. This makes Hammond turn back to them, abandoning his conversation with Ellie. But Muldoon drops the chilling fact that when you look at the big one, you can see that she's working things out. They have to feed them this way because she had the other 2 attacking the fences when the feeders would come in. Despite the fences being electrified, they were systematically checking them for weaknesses, and they were never attacking the same place twice.
All right,
And they remember.
that is frightening. That's the worst thing I've ever heard.
Oh yeah.
They remember.
Yeah. Do you remember? Right? It's like, oh,
They
fuck.
do.
He's
Yes.
They
in there
do.
dancing too.
But to punctuate the conversation, the crane raises back up without the animal.
And it's ripped to shreds.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. With a big smile, Hammond's like, now who's hungry? The way this man just tries to sweep everything under the
Yeah.
rug
Yeah.
constantly is like, it's entirely too much. But we do cut to everyone sitting down to their lunch with their Jurassic Park branded plates.
When I saw that logo on the plate, I was like, they're ready. Like,
Oh yeah.
All they need is the green light.
yeah.
Yeah.
Projectors display pictures and videos of the attractions around them, but Ellie looks down at her food sourly after the experience they just had. Hammond tells them that none of their attractions on the screens are ready yet, but the park will open with the tour that they're about to take, and then the other rides will follow 6 months to a year after. He boasts the designs, saying again that they spared no expense. Gennaro chimes in that they can charge whatever they want, even $2,000 or $10,000 a day, because people will pay it.
Okay, 10,000 a day.
Calm down.
Yeah.
Yeah, calm down.
And that doesn't count the merchandise.
I'm about to put the no in dinosaur.
yeah.
We're not doing that shit.
Hammond interrupts, though, saying that this wasn't only meant for the rich. Everyone has the right to enjoy the animals. Gennaro jokes that maybe they'll do a coupon day or something.
And they laugh.
I'm like, did you forget why you're here?
Well, I mean, I think dinosaurs in like real life will probably make you forget a lot.
I guess.
But yeah, I was like, come on, man, you got to come back to why you were here.
Yeah. He's like, approved.
Yeah.
Just stamping. Now, here's the thing for me as well is that he's just the lawyer of the people who are going to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
He's an investor now. Like he never made the jump.
But the investors pay him, so maybe he's like, if they
Yeah.
They'll have to break
you
some
have to
off.
wet my beak.
Like no.
He's gonna get something. He'll get something for it.
I genuinely didn't even think about it.
That's bonkers, man.
But as he and Hammond chuckle, Malcolm admits that he's staggered by the lack of humility before nature that they're displaying. Gennaro says that things are different than what they were afraid of, and Malcolm agrees, but counters that they're even worse, a lot worse. Gennaro reasons that they haven't even seen the park yet, but Hammond interrupts that he wants to hear from every viewpoint. He implores Malcolm to continue.
Well, where have we been?
Yeah.
Like,
You're right.
none of this is the park.
Well, they did the little dino tour. They haven't been to the park yet.
I guess, but
They
Yeah.
saw the feeding, the horrific feeding behind the scenes.
so this is just the underbelly of the park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
But Malcolm does continue, asking Hammond if he really doesn't understand the danger in what he's doing. He says that genetic power is the most awesome force on the planet, and he's wielding it like a kid who found his dad's gun. Gennaro tries to defend Hammond, but Malcolm continues, offering to explain the scientific problem here. It didn't require discipline to attain it. He says that Hammond and his people read what others did and then took the next step. They didn't acquire the knowledge for themselves, so they have no responsibility for it.
He's speaking the truth.
No.
He
yeah.
is. It's like, you don't want to hear this, but you need to listen.
Mm-hmm.
He accuses them of standing on the shoulders of geniuses to do something as fast as he did it. And before even realizing what he'd done, he patented it and monetized it. He slams his fist on the table at this point. Hammond calmly tells him that he doesn't think he's giving them their credit here. Their scientists have done things that no one has ever done before. But Malcolm argues that the scientists were so preoccupied with whether they could, they never stopped to think if they should.
See, and this is something that is so poignant and thoughtful.
Yes.
That is kind of universal and timeless, because you can make the same exact argument against AI,
Yeah.
against even to the point of self-driving cars.
Yeah. And
We're not ready.
we're not ready.
Yeah.
Like it's honestly frightening when you expand quicker than you should.
Because
Oh, yeah.
it's applicable to everything, like you were saying. It's
Yeah.
like his whole rant here, I was like, man, he's spot on.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, eat your sea bass.
Who's hungry?
But even just like we've seen and we've already heard, like you said, T, they're not ready. They don't, you have to feed the raptors this way. Why? Because they
Yeah.
want to eat you.
Yes.
Say, come on, what that alone.
Yeah.
Because they're
We don't-
smart enough to be trying to break
Yeah.
out.
It's kind of the same thing that I learned in journalism school, where a lot of times a lot of people strive to be the first instead of being the most correct.
Yeah.
And you really, with things that this gravity, the implication of all of this
Yeah.
really should be the most correct
Yeah.
instead.
Yeah.
Do you really want to be the park that
Yeah.
known as the park that
That did, you know.
you once gonna
You don't.
We'll get there. We'll get
Yeah,
there.
we'll figure it out.
But Hammond reasons that condors are on the verge of extinction, and if he brought a flock of them here, Malcolm would have nothing to say. But Malcolm says it's not like this is a species that was affected by people and became extinct. Dinosaurs were selected by nature for extinction. Hammond accuses him of having a very Luddite attitude and asks how they could have possibly stood at the brink of a discovery and not act on it. Malcolm says simply that discovery is a violent and penetrative act that scars what it explores. He calls Hammond's discovery the rape of the natural world. I was like, oh, you're just going for it. But again, where's the lie?
I think for me, and I think this kind of bothered me about Sattler and Grant, because he is speaking the absolute truth that needs to be told.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But they're just like, this sea bass is perfect. Like, you
Well,
need to
Ellie
say...
gives it to him in a second.
Well,
Yeah.
but I'm waiting for it.
It's like somebody amen this man,
Yeah.
please.
You're just happy because you got your dig financed.
Yeah.
Well,
You accepted a bribe.
He did.
a good Chilean sea bass can leave you
Well, I
speechless.
mean,
I mean,
fair
is
point.
that- is that couscous under there?
Like, shit. I'm going to let you
Yeah,
finish.
Yeah. I'm more of a salmon man, but I understand.
They're both great.
Yeah, they're good. Good fish.
But Ellie gently asks how they could know anything about an extinct ecosystem. Without that knowledge, how could they possibly think they could control it? She points out that there are plants in this very building that are poisonous, but they picked them because they thought they looked good. If that doesn't illustrate everything right there.
That's what I'm saying. That would be my point. These plants, we don't know what the fuck. How long ago?
Yeah.
We have fossils and records of them, but we don't know how they react to everyday life. We don't understand how they grow at the rate they grow in real time.
No.
We can be like, oh, well, records show whatever. Yeah, but we've not observed it. We don't understand.
And you're telling me you spared no expense, but you didn't hire a paleobotanist?
Yeah.
What the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
I don't even
You're
know that.
so right.
No, yeah.
I don't even own a dinosaur park, but I know who would be on my payroll.
Who you need.
Right, I know I'm going to have to call. Shit.
Yeah.
Literally. But Ellie says that these dinosaurs are aggressive living things. They don't even know what century they're in. And if it comes to defending themselves violently, they will. Grasping at straws, Hammond calls upon Grant, saying that if there's one person here who understands what he's trying to accomplish, it's him. Grant pauses before conceding that the world has changed so radically that they're all running to catch up to it. He says that he doesn't want to jump to any conclusion, but dinosaur and man are two species that have been separated by 65 million years of evolution, and they've been suddenly thrown back together. They can't possibly have any idea what to expect.
They have nothing in common.
We got no middle ground.
Yeah. Have you seen Seinfeld? No. We got nothing to talk about.
You're not going to get any of my jokes. The Simpsons, fuck.
Yeah,
No.
we're screwed.
We can't be friends.
I made like 8 references today.
Hammond laughs. He tells Grant that he was supposed to come down here and defend him against Gennaro and Malcolm. But at the end of the day, the only one on his side is Gennaro, the blood-sucking lawyer. Gennaro's like, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I love
He's
how
like, cut me a check.
Hammond just puts it on Front Street. He's like, I paid you for your...
Literally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To agree with me.
He's like,
Yeah.
will you calm down, dude? My reputation.
I get he's upset, but listen to reason, man. Like they've all three have said something really good. Like really, this is not something that we should be fucking around with.
So once again, we've got Muldoon, an expert
Yeah.
on wildlife.
Yes.
Then we have these 3 experts, and we're going to just discount all 4.
That's the thing. You didn't want them to come and give their expertise.
Mm-hmm.
You wanted them to come and say, great job, Hammond. Open it up.
To be in the brochure.
You didn't,
Yeah.
a little floating
smiling
head.
faces.
You didn't care what they really thought or had to say. You just thought they would be so odd and wowed because you've spared no expense and the Chilean sea bass look delicious that they were just going to say yes.
Yeah, but it
Yeah.
looks like they like crumbled Fritos on top of it or something.
It was, yeah, I'm sure that's what it was.
It's like he spared some expense.
Yeah.
I can get the shit at a gas station.
That's
so-
where he ran out of money.
Yeah, he's like, the topping.
Yeah.
Do you know how much it costs to feed them a cow a day? But the server comes over and whispers something into Hammond's ear, and he gets to his feet, proclaiming that they're here. As they walk back downstairs to the lobby with the giant dinosaur skeleton, Hammond tells them that they will be visiting with their target audience. Suddenly, his grandchildren, Lex and Tim, played by Ariana Richards and Joseph Mazzello, come running toward them, calling out to Hammond.
I have to be honest. In my very vague memories of this film, and maybe possibly because of Hammond and how he reacts for the rest of the film, I thought these children were Sattler and Grant's kids. I swear to God.
Really?
Yes.
The way he reacts. I mean,
Because later on, he's like, the park. And I'm
Yeah.
like, dude. Flesh and blood.
we all got priorities, okay?
I guess so.
I did read that they early on had Christina Ricci in mind for
Really?
Lex. Yeah.
All right. I mean,
I love her. Give her every role ever. But Ariana Richards, I think, did a great job.
Yeah.
It is interesting because I read that in the book, Tim is the older sibling and Lex is the younger sibling. And something that Lex is very good at later on in the film, Tim really had every character arc. He knew all the stuff about dinosaurs, and the thing that Lex does later that we'll talk about was his too.
Oh.
And Lex was just like an 8-year-old girl who loved sports.
So what they did is they reverse Mike Hanlon
Yes.
and actually gave these kids something to do.
Yes.
Instead of
All
taking
right.
away what they're known for.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay, very cool.
What was interesting too is a big reason that Spielberg wanted to change the ages of the kids was because Joseph Mazzello, the kid that plays Tim, he wanted, or I guess he had auditioned for Hook,
Oh.
and they told him he was too young. And so Spielberg was like, I'll come back for you,
Yeah.
you know? And he did. This role was for
Very
him.
nice.
So, you love to see it.
Yeah.
And he's good in this too.
Yeah, and that's one thing, because like JP was talking about earlier, they really listened to the child actors, even implementing some of the ideas that they had on set. And
I
so
love that.
you get better performances
Yeah.
when you actually care about, your performers.
people.
Yeah.
But the kids hug him so hard that he falls backwards onto the stairs. Ellie smiles down at them, but no one else looks happy or amused by this at all.
Well, the danger. There's kids here now.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Didn't a raptor just eat a man yesterday? Or
Yeah.
like, were you
But
gonna-
again,
our target audience is
only,
there.
Yeah.
only Gennaro and Hammond know that.
I guess.
Only the man who brought his grandchildren knows that. But outside, Hammond leads everyone, including his grandkids, to Jurassic Park cars. They are electric and don't have drivers. They just move along a track throughout the park. And this is the first time that I personally noticed that Gennaro was wearing a tie, a button down, and shorts.
Yeah,
It was a choice.
Yeah, well.
I noticed this later, and I thought that something else was happening.
Me too. I paused it and I told John Paul, "You're fucking kidding me, right?" And then in another angle, I was like, "Oh, okay."
I was like, well, I'm here. But we'll talk.
We'll get to it. Anyway, Hammond brags again that they spared no expense on the cars. Lex gets inside one and is amazed by the interactive CD-ROM. You press the screen and it tells you about the subject. Hammond tells Ellie to come with him and instructs Grant to go get in the second car. Malcolm strides past Grant, insisting that he's going to go ride with Ellie too.
So that made me laugh because it's setting up that thing.
Yeah.
But also, I realized that in this moment, I have not heard the phrase CD-ROM
Yeah.
Yeah.
in a very long time, but it made me smile because that was all the rage.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
And they were amazed, and so were we.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
Children of the 90s.
Yep. But Grant just looks Malcolm up and down. Hammond heads back inside and Grant tries to walk away, but Tim is standing right in front of him, smiling up at him. He tells Grant that he read his book, and Grant is basically like, "That's nice, kid," and starts to walk away. Grant gets in the backseat of the car where Ellie sits in the passenger seat, but Tim follows him, asking if he really thinks that all the dinosaurs turned into birds. Grant says that a few species may have evolved that way. He literally turns away from the child as he sits next to him in the back. Tim smiles, saying that they sure don't look like birds to him, and Grant literally slides across the seat and gets out of the other side of the car.
Well, dude, look, here are your alternatives. You either have him just being very mean and exiting the vehicle, or you have him like fucking getting out that Raptor talent again
Nobody wants him to do
and
that.
showing this kid what it's like. And nobody wants that.
You want to talk about birds?
Yeah. Oh my God. Was that a bird?
Yeah, no, that was Tim.
Oh, okay.
At least he read his book.
Yeah.
It's Grant making the birds.
I just feel like, I don't know. This kid's clearly meeting his hero.
Yeah.
And you're being a dick.
Yeah.
He is.
But Tim follows him again, talking about a meteor that left a crater in Mexico. But Grant interrupts him. He asks which car he planned on riding in, and Tim innocently tells him, whichever one you are. I was like, man, just fucking let the kid talk.
He wants to talk to you.
He does. He continues to prattle on about things that he's read and what his teachers have told him about meteors. Grant leads him to the car in front of them and opens the door for him. Tim gets inside, still talking to Grant, but Grant shuts the door in his face. He tries to walk off, but comes face to face with Lex. She shyly tells him that Ellie said that she should ride with him because it would be good for him.
Come on, you know this fool said he didn't want nothing to do with kids earlier.
She wants kids. She's like, fall in love with these kids, and then, you'll be in love with the idea.
I just think, like, even if you don't like kids, it's just a matter of human decency.
It really is. I don't know why he's so angry.
You don't have to be a dick.
Shutting the door in the kid's face?
Kids aren't for everyone. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
But you can just sit there.
Be nice.
Yeah.
But from the second car, Ellie smiles at him. Grant nods back at her annoyed, and the PA system says that the boat is now loading and reminds everyone to be on the dock for the 1900 hours departure. Back inside the facility, Muldoon is checking computers and warning Hammond about an impending tropical storm, who only laments not building Jurassic Park in Orlando. Muldoon says that the storm may miss them like the last one did, but he needs to keep an eye on it. At the next computer sits Ray Arnold, played by Samuel L. motherfucking Jackson.
Yes.
That was the familiar voice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Man, we're talking about this cast.
Yes!
Mm-hmm. It's amazing.
10 out of 10. But Hammond tells him to start the tour, and smoking a cigarette, Arnold types something into the computer. He cautions, iconically, hold on to your butts, before the screen goes from red to green, alerting that the tour has been initiated. Monitors cycle until they land on the cars on the track outside, and they begin to move.
There was something, because you just mentioned a tropical storm coming in.
Mm-hmm.
I read in the production notes, and I saw in that documentary as well, they're actually, during production, a Category 5 hurricane shut down the production of the film.
Yeah, I think they said it was 3 weeks in.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
The hotel that they were staying at, they were able to step out and look into the eye of the storm, and it was like a incredible experience, but also, when it was all said and done, so much devastation.
Well, yeah.
In the island. I think they said something along the lines of, I think Kathleen Kennedy, who was the producer of this film, they sent like 20,000 pounds or 20,000 tons or something. Not tons, that's too much.
Holy shit.
I think it was like 20,000 pounds of aid to the region.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so them filming on the island, they actually gave a lot of aid to the island after such a disaster.
Good.
Yeah.
So I thought it was a very nice way of paying it forward.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But in the cars, Lex and Tim are with Gennaro in the first one, and Grant has joined Ellie and Malcolm in the second one. As the first car approaches the giant gates of Jurassic Park proper, the screen tells them that the information for what they're passing will be made available to them on the touchscreen. Remember when touchscreens first came out?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Well, I also would get confused and think every screen was a touchscreen.
Yeah.
If I used one for too long.
Right. I just remember it's like, holy shit.
Yeah, it was always weird because like seeing how technology changes, and I remember when it was just a flat screen, then it was a touch screen. It was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Remember that iPod touches?
Oh, yeah.
That had like the ripple on them, and you were like, or they had like the lighter, and you could move. You're like, oh shit! You're like moving it. That was wild.
That was.
And look at us now.
Mm-hmm.
But Lex worries that they're going to hit the gate as they approach it, but it opens automatically for them. The theme plays, and Malcolm sarcastically asks what they've got in there, King Kong, as they pass through the gates, and they promptly close behind them.
So, firstly, obviously, the very sweet reference to King Kong.
Yeah.
Especially with how much I meant to Spielberg as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, in that documentary, I saw, and I don't know if there's like a small cameo that I missed or don't know about, but Fay Wray from the original King Kong, I think she played Ann Darrow. She visited the set of...
Cool. Jurassic Park.
Thank you. I was like, what the fuck is this movie called?
Your face looked
King
lost.
Kong.
Help. Yeah. My eyes were screaming. It's getting late. All right. Focus. I also wanted to talk about Rick Carter, who's the production designer.
Mm-hmm.
He literally, in his team, of course, built a full fucking fledged park on this island.
Jesus.
It's supposed to be Costa Rica,
Yeah.
but it's actually filmed in Hawaii.
Okay.
And there are a lot of scenes that are coming up that were filmed on the Universal lot, which they did such a great job with the production design that you feel is also part of the island.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about some of those because it's kind of surprising.
Uh-huh.
But at the same time, you're like, oh, well, there's no way that they could have filmed this there.
Right.
Yeah.
And it makes logical sense. But Rick Carter did a ton of, obviously, you go down his filmography, it's Spielberg, Zemeckis, Spielberg, Zemeckis. But, of course, he did both What Lies Beneath
Whoop.
and Death Becomes Her.
That's all I gotta say. But back at the facility, Hammond is looking through surveillance cameras, which are located inside of the vehicles. He speaks into the microphone, saying that the voice they're hearing on the touchscreen is Richard Kiley. With a chuckle, he boasts again that they spared no expense.
So I did read that in the novel, they said that Richard Kiley did the voice of the park.
Really?
Oh, all right.
Yeah, and
It
so
is him.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
when they made the film, Spielberg, they got it to be accurate.
That's
Very
very
nice.
cool. But back on the tour, the vehicles pass the first set of dinosaurs, the Dilophosaurus. Everyone is suddenly glued to the windows, peering through the electrified gates to get a glimpse. Richard Kiley continues to narrate that it's been discovered that not only were the Dilophosaurus one of the first carnivores, they were actually poisonous.
Okay, so this is where, again, why did we choose this dinosaur?
Yeah.
And honestly, when you think about it, if we're mucking about with the gene sequencing, can't we take the spit out?
You know?
Or at least,
yeah.
make it not poisonous?
If y'all are
Right.
y'all are already doing a lot.
yeah, dude, have it spit Coca-Cola. Like, you can do
And
anything
then
you want.
charge for the Dilophosaurus Coca-Cola. We're going to be millionaires.
Yeah, pretty much.
You know how many people are going to want that thing to spit in their mouth?
Oh, well, it's
Oh.
Coke. It's gross. I mean, let's get
We don't want it from the tap.
yeah, let's get that straight. But no, have him do it like behind a curtain or something. I don't want to see
Like
it.
slurm.
Yeah, I just want to. It's cool to drink the dinosaur Coke, but don't show me.
I don't want to see how it's made. But he goes on to say that they would spit poison onto their prey, blinding and eventually paralyzing them so that they could eat them easier. Richard Kiley describes them as a beautiful but deadly contribution to the park.
How?
They're not spitting.
Yeah, that was me.
That-
I did that. I made that up. In the film,
Dangerous.
it's viscous poison.
Yeah.
It's like a sludge, really.
Yeah.
But off in the distance of the trees, something growls, but it's unseen. As the track continues to pull them away from the Dilophosaurus exhibit, Ellie looks sad that they didn't get to see one, while Grant offers up a Gordon Ramsay, damn.
Yeah.
Back in the control room, Arnold is concerned with the lights on one of the vehicles not working properly, relying on a battery instead. He sarcastically tells Hammond to add that as item 151 on today's glitch list. 2 days.
Yeah.
I know it's literally probably not 151, but it's got to be a lot for him to say that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm sorry, but yeah, light's a real problem.
Yeah.
But you know what else is a problem? Goddamn Velociraptor eating a man. That's. I hope that's number one.
Probably like
Yeah.
a bigger problem.
Yeah, more than a light.
But he's annoyed that the computers aren't even on their feet yet, and they've already got all the problems of a major theme park and a major zoo. Hammond strolls over to a much messier workstation. He addresses the man there, accusing him of having butterfingers when everyone's lives are in his hands. When the man turns around, laughing his ass off, it's Nedry.
I gotta be honest, I was so caught up with the wonder of dinosaurs.
Yeah.
I forgot about this deal that was made. Completely.
Well, it does a good job of making it a, oh shit, when you see him again.
Yeah.
He says that he's unappreciated. He's made it to where 3 people can run this entire park here from this room for about 3 days. He tells them that that kind of automation isn't easy and it isn't cheap. He asked if Hammond knows anyone else who could network the 8 machines that he's done, as well as debug 2 million lines of code for what he's getting paid. Hammond tells Nedry that he's sorry for his financial problems, but that's what they are. His problems.
It's tough.
It is.
So he's like, I'm sick of talking with you about money. And that's, again, it explains everything.
Yeah.
But I think it's just the fact that he was so open with his money woes that it's like, oh no, it's well known. But don't you feel like if he's talking this much shit and then he's also like, it's kind of obvious that you've double crossed me.
Well, yeah, you probably shouldn't keep this guy around.
No.
What are you doing to need money like that?
That's a good question.
You just went and fucking, and I get it. It's not a good job. You know, you're doing shit you shouldn't. But for you to double cross these people, I'm sure they have money. They probably gave you a pretty good paycheck.
I would imagine if your boss has created a park where dinosaurs roam the earth again.
Yeah.
You've got it. You have to be.
Well, I told John Paul, I said, is this kind of a commentary that they spared no expense to do all the extra shit for the park, but they can't pay their workers? And John Paul was like, no, I think they're paying him. I think he's just greedy.
Well, you got to think too, a lot of these dinosaurs are big. How long have they been here?
Also true.
That's true.
How long
Yeah.
have y'all been doing this?
But, honestly, to your point, dude, when you think about billionaires that are fucking, I mean,
how do they get that way?
Yeah. And how do they treat their employees?
Yeah.
Look at fucking Elon Musk.
Yeah.
All right.
Gross. Anyway, they start to bicker, but Hammond puts his foot down, refusing to be drawn into another fight about finances with Nedry. So this is just the thing that they do.
Again.
Hammond says that he doesn't blame people for their mistakes, but he does expect them to pay for them. Nedry ruefully and sarcastically tells him, thanks, Dad. But before it can go further, Arnold interrupts. He brings up the headlights, and Nedry says that he'll debug them when the tour gets back because they're going to lose part of the system while he does it. He starts rambling about it, but Muldoon tells everyone to be quiet. We press in on him as he reports that they're approaching the T-Rex exhibit. The vehicles come to a slow stop at a 10,000-volt electric fence. Everyone stares out of their windows at the trees behind it, and it's silent until Malcolm breaks it. He says that God created dinosaurs, God destroys dinosaurs, God creates man, man destroys God, man creates dinosaurs. Ellie finishes the story for him. Dinosaurs eat man, woman inherits the earth. But through the radio, Arnold tells them that they're going to try to tempt the T-Rex. On cue, a goat is raised up on a platform in the enclosure. Lex asks what's going to happen to the goat and is upset when she realizes that it's going to be eaten, but Tim is thrilled. I'm like, is this how y'all are going to do, like, on the real tour? Like, that's a lot.
Yeah.
And you're bringing kids. Like,
Dude, I told you it was dark.
Yeah.
This is this is wild.
That's what I was going to say. I was thinking the same thing. So this is how you're going to get the dinosaurs to come out in front of my kids? By eating this fucking goat?
Live goat.
Yeah, right there.
In front of my children.
You can't have him do tricks or something. Like, it's just, he's got to eat the goat.
I feel like this is a little excessive.
And they eat scary, man.
Yeah.
We've seen it and we'll see it again.
I heard the noises.
Yes. Gennaro asks her if she's ever had lamb chops, but she informs him that she's a vegetarian. The goat sits behind the fence, bleating and chained, but Grant says that the T-Rex doesn't just want to be fed like that. It wants to hunt. 65 million years of gut instinct can't be repressed. Finally, the goat lays down and starts to get comfortable, and everyone in the vehicles backs up from the windows, a lot less eager. In the control room, Hammond watches as Malcolm leans into the camera and asks if he eventually plans to have any dinosaurs on the dinosaur tour.
Well, we struck out twice now.
Yeah.
So,
And the first two.
yeah.
Like, we've seen nothing.
Boring.
But a goat.
The goat was cool.
The goat
Yeah.
was cool.
And he lived.
He did.
The goat who lived.
But Malcolm knocks on the camera and breathes on it, asking, hello? Hammond reflects that he really hates Malcolm. Back on the tour, the cars start to slide along the track again. Malcolm muses that the T-Rex isn't going to obey any set park schedule. This is the essence of chaos. Ellie still doesn't understand, so Malcolm explains. It deals with the unpredictability in complex systems, essentially the butterfly effect. A butterfly can flap its wings in Peking, causing rain instead of sunshine in Central Park. Ellie laughs and admits that this has gone over her head. Malcolm casually laughs along with her, playing with her hair.
Yeah, he did.
That's a lot, dude.
I was dying. And he asked if he went too fast. But he asked her to hand him a glass of water so he can conduct an experiment, despite the fact that the car is moving instead of staying still. Grant stares out of his window and sees something like a car far off in the distance in the grass. Malcolm and Ellie conduct the experiment. He has Ellie hold her hand up and proposes that if they put a drop of water on it, where's it going to roll off? She hypothesizes her thumb, and Malcolm places the drop and it rolls back. He does another one, and Ellie guesses that it will do the same thing, but it doesn't. Malcolm feigns surprise and rhetorically asks why it changed. He sets down the water and holds her hand, saying that the tiny variables, like the orientation of the hair on her hand or the amount of blood vessels or imperfections of the skin, she interrupts him here, but he assures her that imperfections are merely microscopic. But he continues that these variables never repeat and they severely impact the outcome. He asks what this is, and she answers, unpredictability. She had called Grant to look at the experiment, but he's distracted. As they wrap up their lesson, he literally opens the door and steps out of the car. Malcolm uses this to his credit. Unpredictability. No one would have ever guessed that Grant would have jumped out of a moving vehicle. Ellie doesn't answer, only opens the door and follows Grant, calling after him. Alone now, Malcolm chuckles, saying that this was just another example, and now he's alone here talking to himself. That's chaos theory.
Again, I was like, this isn't scripted at all.
No, yeah.
You're just going
He's
off.
just being himself.
But alarmed, Hammond tells Arnold to stop the program. On the monitors, everyone else has gotten out of their cars too, and Muldoon says that he's told them multiple times that the vehicle doors need to lock. Everyone rushes over except for Nedry. Alone now, he switches his view to the dock. On his desk, among Reese's wrappers, papers, and floppy disks, sits the insidious can of Barbasol.
Why the fuck were the doors not locked?
Literally.
That's day one.
You
Yeah,
tried to pin them down in the theater, but in the park with the actual dinosaurs, it's fine.
Yeah. Like nobody's dad is gonna be like, let's go get a closer look. Are you kidding?
Nobody's dad.
Come on. Well, I'd want
He's
to
saying,
be
yeah, it's him.
Yeah, I'm
Our
somebody's
kid's
dad. It's a fucking dinosaur, man.
Let's get a closer look.
Outside, everyone follows Grant, but especially Tim, who is telling him about that book from Backer that says that dinosaurs died of disease, not that they turned into birds. Ellie asks Grant what he's doing, but he ignores her. Gennaro proposes that they shouldn't be out here, but Tim continues that Backer's book was a lot thicker than Grant's too.
That means nothing.
No.
First of all. Second of all, I think that we're really lucky that Grant is distracted.
Yeah.
Because he's got
He's
a
still
talent
got
with
that
that boy's name on it. Also, can we talk about the fact that this kid's name is Tim Murphy? And for any Sunny fans,
Nah.
for any fan of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, that's very funny. But we know that he
That is really
survives
funny.
Yes.
because he goes to school with Dennis and
Dennis,
Leanne.
yeah. He makes it to the reunion.
He does.
But Lex trips, and Grant immediately helps her up, asking if she's okay. When he helps her up, she holds onto his hand. Tim desperately tries to get his attention, but Grant only continues forward. He tells everyone to stay here and goes forward on his own, but Tim follows him despite Ellie and Lex trying to keep him back. We follow behind Tim's legs as he approaches a triceratops, lying on the ground in a clearing, obviously ill and dazed. Grant asks the attendant Harding, played by Gerald R. Mullen, if he can touch it. Harding assures him that it's okay and not to be scared. Muldoon tranquilized her for him because she's sick. Everyone approaches in complete awe as the dinosaur groans and moans weakly.
So this one was also interesting. In that same article Gary Ridstrom had with Vulture, he said that the sounds were cows from Skywalker Ranch. And then he said that when the scene we're going to see here in a second, when he lays on the Triceratops, He said all that is a cardboard tube with a spring inside of it and him breathing into it. And he said that it did take some tuning and pitching and whatever with a lot of these sounds. But he said that once he got it, he was like, this is perfect. This is what it is.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It is. It's this stuff that always fascinates me, and Foley.
I was thinking the exact same thing.
Where you're like, how do you even know to come up with that?
Yeah.
But it works.
It does.
But everyone touches the creature. Ellie even cries as she caresses her. Grant admits that this was his favorite dinosaur as a kid, and now she's the most beautiful thing he's ever seen. Ellie's like, wow, thanks. Ellie finds microvesicles on the dinosaur's tongue and remarks that it's interesting. Harding tells her that the symptoms have been returning every 6 weeks or so: imbalance, disorientation, and labored breathing. Grant is lying on her stomach, being lifted every time she takes a labored breath. Using the flashlight Harding gave her, Ellie points out the dinosaur's dilated eyes. She concludes that it's pharmacological from the plant life here. She goes to the nearby grass and identifies that West Indian lilac is among it. Harding says that they know it's toxic, but that the dinosaurs don't eat it. Ellie isn't convinced and says that the only way she can be sure is to check the dinosaur's droppings. Malcolm is shook. Dino droppings?
Firstly, that is wild.
They don't eat it.
Yeah. No, they know it's poisonous.
Yeah.
They know better. They know better.
But we did bring it back. I was like, what?
But they could eat it. It's like, what? What are you talking about? You're the expert they hired? You're fired.
Literally.
I did, aside from that, I did want to talk about the animatronic work
Okay.
that went into this film, because it is brilliant, first of all.
Yeah.
But it was done by Stan Winston and his crew.
Yes.
We talk about Stan Winston quite a bit on this show. I know he did some work on The Thing. It was Rob Bottin who led that. But there's also Predator, Edward Scissorhands, and of course, he directed Pumpkinhead.
Hell yeah.
So Stan Winston's done a lot.
Yeah.
They had said that it took 18 months of research with paleontologists and experts in the field to make sure that they had what they needed in regards to accuracy for all of these dinosaurs.
Damn.
And it's very fascinating because there are a lot of times in this film where things begin as an animatronic and then switch to CG.
Yeah.
And it's very, very well done, almost seamless at times.
Yes.
From shot to shot. This Triceratops is a full animatronic, completely built and fully realized.
Damn.
They had 8 people controlling it. Each part, one person's controlling the blinking.
Yeah.
One person's doing the mouth so she can mess with the tongue.
Yeah.
All of that stuff. And it kind of flabbergasted the entire cast because they're like, it feels real to see this. And then for Sam Neill, you're like, I'm laying on it.
Yeah. I mean, even down to like the textures and everything.
Yes.
When
Yeah.
she's touching the tongue. It's like it all looks so real.
It's just so well done, so fully realized. I think this for me is why I completely understand CG work in films.
Yeah.
But there are times
Yeah.
where you just gotta go practical.
For sure.
Oh, yeah.
But in the facility, Muldoon receives information on the phone. He reports to Arnold and Hammond that the storm isn't getting weaker or changing course. They're going to need to cut the tour short and start again tomorrow. Hammond asks if they really have to, and Arnold tells him that it's just not worth the risk. It's like, God damn, dude. Oh my God. Literally, nature, the weather is telling you to fucking pack it up. But defeated, Hammond tells Arnold to get them back to their cars. Arnold makes the announcement that the last shuttle for the dock leaves in 5 minutes, so everyone needs to stop what they're doing and leave now. For the first time, Hammond is visibly angry, stomping his foot and yelling, damn.
Yeah, it's a little cartoonish though.
Yeah.
It's like the thing is that again, his style of, I guess, this character.
Yeah.
His anger even feels like whimsical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If he was Sean Connery, he'd be like, "Oh shit."
Yeah.
Jesus.
Can I go home now? I'm going to go to the store. But back outside, Ellie inspects mountains of droppings that are probably as tall as me. She gives Harding his credit, saying that he's right and there are no remnants of the lilac. She walks away, muttering to herself and pulling off the giant gloves. Malcolm comments that she's tenacious, but Grant tells him that he has no idea. Malcolm calls out to her to remember to wash her hands before eating anything. This is not explained, but I think in the novel, what was happening was that they were eating around the lilac and eating the lilac on accident, and it was inducing vomiting. So that's why it wasn't in the droppings. They were throwing it up, but they were eating it. Ellie is right. That is why they were getting sick, because it shouldn't be there.
Yeah. But they do kind of it's one of those things that you just don't talk about again.
Yeah, that's the thing, is watching it critically. I'm like, wait, you never explained that. But just when you're just watching it, you're like, wow, like what's going to happen next?
Dinosaur.
Yeah, wow. But back at the facility, Nedry is typing away at his computer. He's rewarded with the prompt on the screen, debug island overview. Execute?
Okay, so I just have to be honest. Whoever installed this program was also kind of cartoony.
Yeah,
because that's a lot.
It was Nedry.
And I do also have to say that Nedry just openly conducting his suspicious business.
Yeah,
and he couldn't. In a second, his behavior is
it's great.
My God, John Paul and I were fucking laughing so hard making fun of him the other day.
Unbelievable.
But outside, thunder booms loudly, scaring the shit out of Gennaro, who advises the doctors that they need to get back to their cars. Ellie says that she'd rather stay behind with Harding and the Triceratops. Harding says that this is fine. His vehicle runs on gas and he can drop her at the visitor center on his way to the docks to make the boat. I'm like, did y'all not hear him say 5 minutes?
Yeah.
But okay. Grant asks if she's sure, and Ellie is, saying that she wants to stay with her longer. As lightning strikes and thunder booms, Ellie returns to the Triceratops, and the rest of the group honors her wishes and makes their way back to the cars on the track. Back at the facility, Nedry watches the man that he's talking to on the docks use the phone. The waves crash around him, and he says that it's out of his hands, and if the captain says they have to go, they have to go. Nedry pleads with him, saying that the test run of this took him 20 minutes. He could maybe do it in 18, but he has to at least give him 15. I was like, where are you getting these numbers?
So you're just guessing.
Yeah.
You have no idea.
The man on the dock tells him that he can't make any promises and promptly hangs up the phone. As Hammond stares at the mosquito encased in the amber at the top of his cane, Arnold reports that the vehicles are going back to the garage. Hammond sadly says, so much for our first tour. There were 2 no-shows and 1 sick Triceratops. Arnold tells him seriously that it could have been worse. A lot worse.
Oh, God.
Suddenly. Nedry sidles up, very nervously asking if anyone wants a soda or something because he's going up to the machine. He conspicuously rambles that he's only had sweets today. So he wants something salty.
Okay. Just get out of here.
He's acting so fucking suspicious. I was laughing out loud.
Yeah, you can't leave the room no more.
No,
you stay here.
Well, somebody's going to go with you.
Yeah.
Arnold stares at him, the cigarette hanging from his lips as he continues that he debugged the phone. He said he would, so he did. So the system will be compiling for 18 to 20 minutes. Some of the minor systems might go on and off for a while, but there's nothing for anyone to worry about.
Especially don't look at my computer.
Yeah.
He reaches over to his mouse and clicks the big red execute button on the computer. He sets his stopwatch in sync with an hour-long countdown on his computer. It is pouring outside now, and the vehicles are making their way back to the garage. In their car, Grant asks Malcolm if he has children. As Malcolm drinks from his flask, he tells him that he has 3. He loves kids because anything can and will happen. Same with wives. He offers Grant his flask, but Grant refuses it, asking if he's married. Malcolm responds, occasionally. He says he's always on the lookout for the future ex-Mrs. Malcolm. He chuckles, but Grant does not seem amused. Again, this is Jeff Goldblum just being full Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
I did read that for a while this role was going to be played by Jim Carrey.
Oh, no.
No.
It would be a whole different energy. It would be a completely different character. But in the facility, Nedry waits outside of the decontamination airlock and counts down. As soon as he gets to 1, the doors open. Arnold starts to light another cigarette, but pauses when his computer starts alerting him to the door security shutting down. He remarks that it's odd, but Hammond reminds him that Nedry said that some aspects would shut down. He's like, remember when he was all sweaty and talking? He did say that might happen. Nedry finds his way to the restricted embryo storage room. He releases glowing containers with bits of every type of dinosaur's embryos. He plucks the tiny vials from the containers and loads them into the faux Barbasol can.
I just have to commend the production design again and the art direction. This place looks amazing.
It really does.
Yeah.
But he leaves the room and closes the can tight. Back in the vehicle, the screen goes dark, but Malcolm drops a bigger bomb in the back seat. He asks Grant if Ellie is available. When Grant asks him why, Malcolm apologizes. He starts, "You two are," and Grant tells him yes. Suddenly, the vehicle stops. Back in the control room, Arnold's computer is lighting up and blinking red everywhere. He says that the security fences are going down all over the park. Hammond angrily tells someone to check the vending machines and find Nedry.
You believed him?
Yeah.
He's like, he said he wanted something salty. So go to the one with the chips. Outside, Nedry drives up to the big gate of Jurassic Park. I'm like, oh, this motherfucker's breaking out. Look at
Yeah.
He's not even in the facility
It's not
anymore.
even part of the park.
He hops out of the car and flips a manual switch to unlock the gate before rushing back to his car in the rain. He drives through, nudging the gates open as he does. At the facility, Arnold goes over to Nedry's desk, disgusted by the state of his workspace. Muldoon asks if the Raptor's fences are down, and Arnold checks. They're still on. Luckily. Hammond asks Muldoon why the hell Nedry would turn the other ones off. We cut back to Nedry, standing outside of a high-voltage fence. Deactivated, he's able to open them easily and then drive through. He loses control of his car, crashing into the sign for the dock. He sets it back up, but is frustrated when he doesn't know which way the arrow on the sign was supposed to go. Back at Nedry's computer, his cigarette burning down to the filter, Arnold tries to access the security grid, but his access is repeatedly denied. Suddenly, the words, "You didn't say the magic word," appear, repeating down the blue screen until on another computer, Nedry's head pops up on the drawn body of Elvis.
That's not explained.
His finger shakes, advising Arnold that he didn't say the magic word. It's like, I was fucking laughing. He put his own face on there.
That's so funny. And it looks like Super Dave's outfit, but I think it is Elvis.
I think it said King. That's why I thought it was Elvis.
Oh. Well, maybe is that an Elvis? Maybe it's an Elvis lyric. We don't know.
What?
No, it's not about the magic word.
Someone asked Patrick Wilson. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He seems to know what's up. I will say that the audacity of this man is unbelievable. I respect his villainous behavior.
Yeah.
But I don't have to like it.
Well, because after a certain point, he's like, no, I'm fucking them over, and they're going to know that I'm fucking them over.
It's like, come on, man.
You've only been gone a few months.
You could still be at the vending machines, conceivably.
I was gonna ding him for the messy ass desk, and then when that thing popped up, I was like, "Never mind."
All is forgiven.
That's so funny. We used to say that shit constantly, me and my brother to each other. It's like, man, that's too funny.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
But Arnold is furious, rightfully so, realizing that Nedry hacked them. Hammond hands him the phone, telling him to call Nedry's people at Cambridge. Muldoon joins them as Arnold tries to make the call, but he quickly realizes that the phones are also out. Hammond asks Muldoon where the vehicles have stopped on the track. So we cut to the track where the vehicles are stopped, right outside of the T-Rex enclosure where the goat is still chilling and waiting to be eaten. I mean, I guess the goat doesn't know that. But
No.
He's like, I'm just hanging out.
Yeah. Grant runs from the first car back to the second and gets behind the wheel. He says that Gennaro told them to just stay put, but Malcolm is concerned with how the kids are. Grant says that he didn't ask, but he doesn't understand why they wouldn't be fine.
He's,
Yeah.
he's still in the middle of his character arc. Let him.
The middle, but like more towards the beginning.
Well, they're with an adult.
Yeah.
Come on.
They're probably fine.
Yeah.
Malcolm informs him that kids get scared. Grant dismisses it as just a hiccup in the power. Malcolm tells him that he's not scared, and Grant's like, I never said you were.
It's all right, man. Yeah.
You're scared.
We're all a little scared. Calm
I
down.
think you
It's
might
all
be a
right,
little
yeah.
scared. In the front car, Tim pops up from the front seat wearing some headgear with goggles on it. He screams to scare Lex, but Gennaro just wants to know where he got the goggles from. Tim found them in a box under the seat, and Gennaro tells him that they're heavy, which means they're expensive, and Tim needs to put them back.
But if they're here, maybe they're part of the tour. Maybe we need to have them so we can see certain things. So we are supposed to use them.
I mean, if they're in the car, period, you're right. So calm down.
Yeah,
But
chill out, man.
This is just another example of Gennaro inserting himself because he's got no claim to those.
No.
Even if they're damaged, it doesn't come out of his pocket.
He's like, I invested in those. No, you didn't. No, you did not.
I think you're forgetting what your role here is.
And he tells him to put him back, but then Tim just puts them on his head again.
Yeah, he's like,
No,
fuck off.
Fuck that guy.
you didn't invest in my grandfather's.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, it's my grandfather. Shut
Yeah.
up. Like you said, Tim just ignores him and puts them back on, crawling into the back seat. Lex chastises him for scaring her, but Tim ignores her again, twisting the goggles as he stares out of the back window, finding out that they have night vision.
So, in all honesty, I mean, Jurassic Park, I thought was a daytime attraction.
Mm-hmm.
So, night vision goggles in every vehicle is a little weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, that's what I'm saying. What are these for?
I don't know.
I mean,
I guess we haven't gotten there.
yeah.
Well, they haven't opened yet. They're still figuring
yeah,
it out.
Yeah.
they couldn't even finish this tour.
Yeah.
So, like, we're not there yet.
And they haven't seen one
No,
dinosaur. I almost
Oh,
said,
yeah.
not on the tour.
For some reason, because it's night vision, I almost said they haven't seen one vampire. Which they also haven't.
You know,
No,
and they won't.
no.
And spoiler alert, there's not one vampire in this.
I watched the wrong movie.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and recuse myself.
Grant puts his water bottle up to the sky to collect rain in it before closing the door and taking a drink. He offers it to Malcolm, who takes it with a smile and a nod. I thought this was going to be like a reverse of him offering his flask and him saying no, but Malcolm's like, thank you.
I don't know if you know this. There's dinosaurs around us.
Yeah.
I need a drink.
We need to be, a drink.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see what happens. I mean,
Right.
we don't know.
Well, I mean, dude, I would be fucking terrified. Everything's shutting off. We're where now? A T-Rex? Oh.
Yeah.
Is that goat still there?
Like we were here. We know what's behind that fence.
Yeah.
And if the power's out,
I mean,
Yeah.
what else is out? Whatever. But in the first car, Gennaro snoozes and Lex boredly fans herself with her hat. But Tim suddenly grows concerned. He asks his sister if she heard that, but when he turns to the cups of water in the front of the car, they ripple, matching loud thuds outside of the car. I did watch an interview where they said that Spielberg got the idea for this visual because he was listening to Earth, Wind, and Fire really loud in his car and the bass was shaking everything. So he was like, and they couldn't find a way to visually execute it with the water. So after trying all these different things, what they ended up doing was like affixing a guitar string underneath the dash in the car.
Okay.
And plucking it at a certain frequency, whatever.
Yeah.
And it was doing that. So somebody was underneath the car
Yeah.
doing the guitar string in time to make it, ripple.
Yeah. Now I do have a question. How high was he when he came up with this?
Spielberg?
Yeah.
I mean, probably quite. He's bumping Earth, Wind, and Fire.
I just loved it. It's very funny to think of him on break from set and just going to his car and just listening to September really loud. And he's like,
oh my
I
God.
got a great idea. guys, listen.
But it again, iconic. This
Yeah.
is such an icon. Everybody remembers the water.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody does. But Gennaro wakes up as the thudding gets even louder and looks out of the rearview mirror. He offers that maybe it's the power coming back on, but Tim puts on those night vision goggles and zooms into the enclosure. The chain that was holding the goat in place is swinging wildly in the wind, and the goat is gone.
So now we got a problem on our hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say just the entire everything of this entire section, the suspense, the water, the sound design, it's just very, very well done.
It's excellent.
Because we kind of, we know what's coming, but we're not ready.
No.
We were just,
Yeah.
Lex stares out the window and asks, "Where's the goat?" Suddenly, one of the goat's bloody legs is flung onto the car. A giant clawed hand rests on the now unelectrified fence. Finally, impossibly large, the T-Rex raises her head as she tosses back the rest of the goat and swallows it.
Wasted the leg, but...
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it'll go back and get it.
She was making a statement.
It was more about scaring these children than it was about being satiated.
Gennaro panics. Crying and whimpering, he opens the door and runs out, abandoning the kids. He runs past the second car and into the bathroom. Lex is horrified that he left them, but Grant just asks where he thinks he's going. Malcolm only offers that when you gotta go, you gotta go.
But take the kids. They might have to go too.
I mean,
you got to go to the bathroom.
If I'm in that car, I already went. There's no making it to any kind of bathroom.
We're going to the bathroom to clean up.
Yeah.
That's
what's happening.
The damage is done.
I just love that no matter what situation is happening, Malcolm's still got jokes.
Always.
Oh, yeah.
Growling, the T-Rex makes short work of the fence. Lex looks back at the second car and quietly says, "Dr. Grant." But the T-Rex steps out of her enclosure and looks briefly at the two cars before roaring into the night.
So to achieve this, Rydstrom, it's funny because the roar is from his pet Jack Russell Terrier, Buster.
Oh, okay.
And a lot of the sounds that the T-Rex makes are recorded sounds from his dog, he changed the tone and whatever. I
would hope he changed the tone.
But that's what Buster sounds like.
It's like, okay, we're going outside. But the roar, that's what it was. The roar is a baby elephant.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
yeah,
cute and scary.
But it's interesting how he used things and turned them into. I would have never guessed that some of the sounds, the growling and whatever, would be his pet dog.
No.
I just don't know how you know. Now it could just be he's like, I need to get Buster in this movie somehow. Because when you think about it, you're like, a lion, a bear.
Yeah.
You think of big animals that are ferocious and scary.
Yeah.
Not your dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was personal, I think.
But Malcolm laments that he hates being right all the time. Grant can only stare at the creature in awe. She growls again and just walks away. Grant quietly warns Malcolm to be perfectly still because the T-Rex's vision is based on movement, and he did teach us that earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Not receiving this memo, Lex searches frantically in the back of the car. She finds a giant flashlight, and Grant and Malcolm see her turn it on and wave it around wildly out of the back window.
See, okay, now Tim has dinosaur knowledge.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
He should be like, hey, and she's like, Dr. Grant! He should tell his sister, like, no.
Doing Morse code.
Yeah. He's trying to help the plane land.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
But all right, I guess that's what we're doing.
I thought that too, though. After a while, I was like, but Tim knows.
Yeah.
He should have been like, no, stop moving.
Maybe his fear, like all of his knowledge.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I would think, because I don't think that anybody would be expected to just be like, okay, guys.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fine. Yeah. Which, I guess Grant is doing, but he's also an adult. Tim's
and
child.
also they're attacking that car.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we got a little distance.
But Grant quietly pleads with her to turn the light off, and in their car, Tim echoes this sentiment. So he gets there.
All right.
Tim closes the door that Gennaro left open because, yes, he left the door open when he fled. Just as the T-Rex approaches it, she inspects the car curiously, even peeking in through Lex's window before letting out an ear-splitting roar. I really love the eyes Like
Yes.
even the triceratops, like just incredible.
I don't know how they can put emotion behind the eyes of these animatronics.
But I mean, they did.
But that's what's impressive is how they did that. Because again, even still watching it, again, we know they're not real, but looking at it and say, God damn, would that be what a fucking dinosaur? Look how big that thing is. You know what I mean? They fucking rip my face off. Everything.
Yeah. I don't think it could just tune in on the face. I think it's all.
No,
it's everything.
You're in half.
Yeah.
But she nudges the vehicle and the kids scream inside. Tim goes to his sister and tells her to turn the flashlight off, but they struggle with it. In the midst of trying to turn it off, the T-Rex plunges her face into the sunroof, causing it to fall down onto the kids. They hold it up, the only barrier between them and the T-Rex's teeth, but when she gets bored of this game, she just flips the vehicle over. The kids, of course, scream inside.
Oh, yeah.
Finally, Grant seems to realize the severity of what's happening, and he and Malcolm stare as the T-Rex begins to eat the bottom of the car. Grant rifles through the back of the vehicle and takes out a flare. The T-Rex roars up into the sky, putting her weight on the car and causing it to sink deeper into the mud, of course with the kids still inside. Grant runs over to them, holding out the flare in front of him. He yells to get her attention and is stunned when she roars and looks up at him. He gets her attention and tosses the flare, but Malcolm also has one. He runs away from the T-Rex, waving the flare to draw her toward him, and yells back at Grant to just get the kids. Grant pleads with him to throw the flare and stay perfectly still, but Malcolm continues with the distraction, running and waving the flare around. I did read in an article that was Jeff Goldblum's idea for Malcolm to try to save the kids by leading the T-Rex away, because in the script they had, when Gennaro ran away, he also ran away.
Oh, shit.
Which I don't think he would do.
No, not the way he's been acting.
Yeah, no.
No. And Sam Neill in an interview, he said that because it's really, I mean, when you think about it, scripted, this is Dr. Grant's heroic scene.
Yeah.
And then he turns around and sees...
You son of a bitch.
Yeah. It's like, all right, I guess we both got it covered.
In the bathroom, Gennaro sits on the toilet praying desperately. Now, the state of this man's shorts.
Okay. We brought it up vaguely earlier.
I thought he was shitting on the toilet. I'm just going to say it.
He couldn't just be sitting there?
No. With his pants off.
Oh, yeah.
And then so I was like, oh, Malcolm said when you got... I guess he really did have to go.
He's like, excuse me, kids.
But we do see from another angle that he's fully clothed.
Yeah,
he was just sitting on the toilet.
The lighting was weird, too. So I thought they were not there.
There was a lot of thigh. Like,
well, they were pulled up. He's afraid. He's trying to get away.
I always pull my shirt legs up.
I'm really scared.
Hey, if it helps me to move faster, I'm getting the fuck out of here.
First thing you do.
Yeah.
Like, these shorts are getting in the way. You hike them up and run as fast as you can.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay, now that's too much. But don't worry, guys. He's not.
We might be the only people that thought that.
Maybe. It wouldn't be the first time. But as the T-Rex approaches, he slams the door to the stall in futility, but the dinosaur easily demolishes the entire building, flinging Malcolm to the side in the process. He is tossed aside and covered in debris. The only thing left standing is Gennaro, sitting in his stall, but she doesn't let that stand in her way. The T-Rex plucks Gennaro up off of the toilet like nothing and swings him around in her mouth.
Playing with her food is a little...
Yeah.
I did see a video where they said that T-Rexes did that, or I guess any animal that does that to its prey,
right? It's
breaking all of their bones so that they're easier to... I know. Okay. I was like, holy
kind of like a death roll with the alligator.
Yeah.
That's horrifying.
Yeah. Like, the bones hurt. We need to...
Yeah, they're like, we just want like for... texture. Yeah, we don't want want them whole.
You can't fight back if you can't use your arms and legs.
Yeah.
Well,
that's true too.
Or your hooves and
whatever you got. Back at the cars, Grant tries to pull the kids out. Tim's foot is stuck, but Grant manages to pull Lex out. As soon as he goes for Tim and Lex gets to her feet, she screams at the top of her lungs at the T-Rex, presumably mauling Gennaro. Which again, these children do not need a front row seat to, but here we are. Grant puts his hand over her mouth and tells her to just not move. They can't see you if you don't move. Grant's theory is quickly put to the test. They stand perfectly still as the dinosaur approaches them. She is so close that the air from her nose blows off Grant's hat, but she doesn't attack them. Instead, she hits the car and it spins, knocking Grant and Lex out of the way. They hide behind the car once it comes to a stop and follow it as it moves again when the T-Rex nudges it to try to get to Tim underneath. Tim screams as Grant and Lex are forced to the drop-off of the exhibit. With Lex on his back, Grant starts to climb using the broken fencing. The car steadily nudges further and further off of the edge until it collapses into the greenery below them. Above them, the T-Rex roars in triumph.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about the T-Rex. Mm-hmm. So whenever it came time to do everything that needed to be done with the T-Rex, Spielberg first went to Phil Tippett, who was a stop motion maestro.
Mm-hmm.
He invented, I think it was something called Go Motion or something like that. It was a step above stop motion.
I was going to say, I know we've talked about him before. I know that name.
He's pretty prolific. He basically, Star Wars, so many things, countless. But he puts together some of these tests for the T-Rex, and Spielberg is a big fan of it. But Spielberg then talks to Dennis Muren from Industrial Lights and Magic, and him and his team of CGI artists, they put together a rendering of a T-Rex, and Spielberg likes it more. And so what they do is they hire Tippett on as a dinosaur consultant, because when he sees the footage, he's thinking about his career in stop motion, and he's like, I think I'm about to become extinct.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's where that line came from in the film.
I love that.
But the thing is that they have Stan Winston's team working with the animatronics. Then they have Muren's team working with the CGI. And then they still have Tippett's team. They have these models of stop motion, but what it is they're kind of I guess models to be animated later by the CGI team.
Okay.
So he's helping with the motion as far as how these dinosaurs are supposed to move. And then when they're animated later, it's with the assistance of the stop motion that was created before.
Oh, okay. Kind of like a mocap.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, yeah,
I was like,
right.
What word am I looking for?
All right.
But yeah, he basically used stop motion to create motion capture for the T-Rexes.
Nice.
And really all the dinosaurs in the film. So he still had a big hand in the film.
Yeah.
But the T-Rex, the model that they built, Stan Winston's team, was 20 feet tall. And they had it segmented, you see the shot where the T-Rex's foot steps in the mud.
Yeah.
That was a piece all on its own, just T-Rex legs. And so they can zoom in and get the right shot where they need it. They don't have to put the whole T-Rex there.
Okay.
But then you see her eye through the window.
Yeah.
That's all animatronic. Whenever you see all of the action of Gennaro being eaten, that's CGI.
Yeah.
And so you're switching back and forth so constantly.
That's amazing.
But you don't feel, you're like, okay, well, that's CGI, that's this, that's that.
Yeah,
No.
You're so enthralled by the action going on that you're never once taken out of it.
Yeah.
And as well, as I had said, some of it was shot in Hawaii legitimately. This is one of the sequences that was shot on the Universal lot.
Oh,
okay.
But the way that they do it, of course, it's necessity with all the rain and everything, the giant action sequence that they're doing.
Yeah.
But again, you're not taken out of it.
Right.
It is very, very, very much still part of the same world.
Yeah.
It's just very impressive.
It really is.
It is how they use those autoeroticas.
Just one bit of dinocorn.
Yeah.
That's all I'm asking for.
You're not going to get one. Speaking of the rain, too, I had read that Spielberg added that it was going to be raining later, which I guess makes sense if they said that tropical storm is coming or whatever, unless that was also added. But the model was not made to be wet. And so it was absorbing all the water that they were making the rain, and it kept fucking up. And so when it was turned off, it was damaged, and it would kind of spring to life and scare the shit out of everyone. But and also one more thing about the T-Rex, and we can move on.
Okay.
I saw in multiple interviews with the cast that they said that when they were filming the scene, Spielberg had like a bullhorn and he was roaring and doing the breathing sounds for the T-Rex. And I think it was Sam Neill that said that the hardest part about acting in these scenes was not laughing at Spielberg doing that.
Hey, he said he was directing it with childlike wonder.
You know?
Yeah.
I'm the T-Rex.
I just thought that was adorable.
Yeah, that's great.
But back at the facility with Ellie, Muldoon, and Hammond standing behind him, Arnold is looking at the commands that Nedry had put into the computer and realizes that he was turning the security systems off because he didn't want anyone to see what he was doing. He's like,
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah, he told you that.
Yeah.
Very sweatily.
Yeah.
Yes. He points out the next thing he entered, white rabbit object. That's what did everything. And the only way to find out the keystrokes that Nedry entered is to go through the lines of code in the computer one by one. Ellie asks how many lines there are, and Arnold casually tells her about 2 million. Ellie turns on her heels and walks away. Hammond turns to Muldoon and asks if he would take a gas jeep and bring back his grandkids. Muldoon agrees and immediately sets off. Before he can leave the room, Ellie declares that she's going with him and follows him out of the room. Hammond is preoccupied, and Arnold has to call his name several times before delivering the upsetting news that he simply can't get Jurassic Park back online without Nedry. Behind him, Nedry's avatar continues wagging his finger and going, It's really insulting. I did just want to shout out how much of a badass Ellie is this whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
She's just so fucking cool. But outside, Nedry races in his vehicle, complaining that he should have been there already. He loses control and slides through the railing and gets stuck in the mud. Unable to drive any further, he gets out and has a look around. The road is beneath him with the sign pointing toward the east dock. He starts to pull the winch from the front of his vehicle, but slips in the rushing water. That is a winch, right?
Yes.
I looked it up.
Yes.
I educated myself. I did laugh out loud though, because there is a cartoonish slipping sound.
Yes.
When he slides down onto the road below.
So I said, I think I heard a whistle of some kind.
It was like a banana peel sound.
Yeah.
But his glasses fall off and he searches for them for a moment before deciding that he can just buy new glasses.
Yeah.
I laughed out loud because that's only for him. He goes, I can afford more glasses.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, man.
He abandons the search and instead runs to a nearby tree and starts to tie the rope around it. Something skitters in the grass behind him, but when he turns around, there's nothing there. He ties the rope around the tree, but a Dilophosaurus pops its head up from behind it. The two go back and forth, you know, that like, which way are you going? Until Nedry comes face to face with another one. This is when he decides he's had enough. He follows the rope back toward the vehicle, moving quickly as the dinosaur squeals behind him. Finally, Nedry turns around and takes note at how small it is. The Dilophosaurus looks up at him inquisitively, and he admits that he's not so bad and he thought he was one of his big brothers. He asks if he's hungry, but says that he just fell down a hill and he's soaking wet. He doesn't have any food. He's like, I was really in the mood for something salty.
Yeah, but that was a lie. So I'm here.
Nedry picks up a stick from the ground and tries to play fetch with the dinosaur, calling it stupid when it doesn't respond. He tosses the stick away from them, but the Dilophosaurus stays put. Nedry mutters no wonder they're extinct and vows to hit it with his car when he comes back down.
What's wrong with that dude?
I don't know.
He's like creeping into cartoon villain territory.
Yeah.
Well, we got that banana peel.
Yeah. That was the turn.
Yes. Because he's just like hurling abuse at the dinosaur. And you're stupid. It's like, what? Why?
He did.
You don't know how to play the game domesticated dogs can play? What a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Like,
And no, I don't have any food for you.
Yeah.
It's like, good Lord.
I'm going to hit you with my car. It's like, what the fuck, dude? But he stomps away and uses the rope to help him climb back up to the vehicle. We watch this from the Dilophosaurus's point of view in the grass, but the view changes as it approaches Nedry. He turns back in time for the dinosaur to fan out the two crusts on its head and scream at him. It's a lot less cute now. I will say that.
It's kind of like when Predator opens the mouth and you're like, you have that too?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God.
I've underestimated you.
Yeah.
You have that too.
It was bad enough, dude.
That was fucking metal, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. As Nedry stares, it shoots thick, dark venom at him. It continues to scream, but Nedry crawls back up to the car. He turns around to look at the dinosaur just in time for it to spit more venom into his eyes.
I'm just thinking again about the geneticists that are like, no, leave that.
You literally,
Like, what purpose?
Richard Kiley tried to warn us.
It's deadly, he said.
I'm sure they wanted to keep it the way the way that the dinosaurs were, and let them all be.
But put a fence around
No,
it.
but yeah, but
Yeah. But I mean, you're going with your kids in the car, and it's like if you turn to the left,
no, yeah,
you're like, oh my God,
yeah,
oh my God,
and the doors aren't even locked.
no, I had my window down.
Let's not forget the unlocked.
Yeah, maybe let's not make these. You said it earlier.
Yeah.
Maybe we don't do that.
Just the veggie sources, please.
We'll have pictures, animatronics.
Yeah,
We'll hire Stan Winston's team.
We'll spare no expense.
they'll never know.
But Nedry screams, his face covered. Blindly, he tries to wipe it out of his eyes and get into the car, but he hits his head instead and falls backward. The can of Barbasol falls from his pocket and rolls down with the rushing water. Nedry finally gets into the vehicle, but there is a Dilophosaurus waiting for him inside. It quickly attacks Nedry, and we watch as the Barbasol can below the vehicle is buried in mud. So we've just watched two pretty brutal times.
You think he used the passenger door, or he jumped in while he was blind? Like, because he's shotgun
there.
and he's waiting.
Yeah.
Like, hey, where are we going? Spits on him,
Yeah.
whatever.
I have a theory that the Dilophosaurus understood everything that Nedry said.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
And this was simply self-defense. I will say that the Barbasol can kind of becomes a bit of a MacGuffin
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
because it means nothing.
It
Yeah.
does. Well, he said what, like 36 hours of they would stay.
Yeah, yeah.
And,
Yeah.
nobody's finding
And
that.
now it's
No.
being buried by the mud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gone.
Yep.
Just like Marion's car.
Huh.
Psycho reference? Take a shower.
Sure. Take a shower. Elsewhere, Grant rinses his face off in rushing water before turning and calling out for Tim. The car is stuck in the tree above them, pointing down. Lex is still in panic mode, but Grant assures her. He promises that he's going to continue to take care of her, but he needs to focus on her brother right now.
So again, this is the character arc.
Yes, now we're cresting.
We're doing better.
Yeah.
Because literally, 2 hours, maybe 3 hours ago, he was like, "Kids, stink."
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
mushing Tim's face and he was trying to talk to him.
Be you.
Was he helping the T-Rex? Or what?
Yeah.
Get him,
Eat,
get him.
eat this kid. He said the other guy's book was bigger.
Still struggling to comprehend everything that's happened, Lex stammers out that he left them, referring to Gennaro, but Grant seriously and sincerely promises her that he is not going to do that. Lex nods. Grant tells her to stay there before walking away, and she does, sitting down inside of a giant pipe. Grant continues to call out to Tim, but doesn't receive an answer. He starts to climb the tree, making his way up to the car and complaining that he hates climbing trees because they're way too high. He finally makes it to the car where Tim sits quietly inside. When Grant calls his name, he looks up at him. I'm like, why didn't you fucking say something?
Yeah.
I don't know if he was just waking up or what, but like, Tim! You're just sitting there?
Yeah.
Well, it could be the T-Rex. I don't want to be like, oh, I'm in here and delicious or whatever. I'm not giving myself away. Fuck that.
How fast did they evolve? Holy
Well, y'all have been playing with genetics
yeah,
and shit.
yeah,
Maybe they
yeah.
can. I mean,
Who knows?
I don't know what y'all have done.
Yeah.
Grant opens the door and asks if Tim is okay. Tim reluctantly admits that he threw up. Grant assures him that it's okay and promises not to tell anyone that he threw up if he'll just give him his hand.
And if you'll just tell me where you threw up so I don't...
Yeah. Yeah.
So I
Look
don't
at it.
look at it. So I don't even see it in my peripheral vision. But in the process, he inadvertently hits the steering wheel, causing a wheel to turn in the tree, but he does manage to get Tim out of the car. Tim starts panicking about having to climb down, but Grant promises to help him. Just as they're about to get started, the car begins to shift and fall down the tree. It is a race to the bottom, Grant instructing Tim to go as fast as he can as he trails right behind him. He's like, go, Tim! They reach the bottom and jump out of the way at the very last minute, but as they start to crawl away, the car flops down on top of them, encasing them inside. Grant does throw his body over Tim's, and the open sunroof envelops them. Tim says that they're back in the car again, but Grant offers that at least Tim is out of the tree.
I just want to say that the car falling on them, they were very lucky.
Yeah. No, yeah.
And there's another moment like this later. I'm like, these people just are perfectly balanced or whatever.
Both very lucky and very unlucky.
Yeah. I want to commend the score because the way that the tension is built, it hits the exact second that they start to feel fear. It's perfect.
Yeah. Oh, no, yeah. And if all he did was throw up, dude, you got thrown from that ledge by a T-Rex in the car, in the tree, then you made it down the tree, and then the car fell on you, but you're still alive. I probably would have shit instead of just throw up.
Well, but I mean, personally, like, look, he loves dinosaurs. Tim does, right?
Yeah.
So it's like if Nick Cave kicked my ass or something.
No,
like,
it's not like that at all.
It's still pretty cool.
That's hardcore.
Yeah.
Not at all.
No?
No.
Oh, all right.
It's really a pleasure to meet you. Since you're getting your ass beat.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I'm a huge fan. But Muldoon and Ellie find where the cars stopped outside of the T-Rex exhibit, but there's only one car there. They both scream out for Grant, the music climbing to a manic pace. Using their flashlights, they both come upon human remains. Muldoon says that he thinks it's Gennaro, and Ellie agrees. Neither of them seem upset.
No. And it's gruesome because he's like over here, she's over there, and he said something like, I think this is Gennaro.
Yeah.
She's like, I think this is too.
She's like, uh-huh.
Anyway.
Yeah, he was mauled.
Yeah.
So where's Grant, though?
Behind them, the T-Rex roars, stopping any further conversation. Ellie proposes that the dinosaur is ahead of them, but Muldoon says that she could be anywhere. With all the gates down, she can wander anywhere that she wants. From underneath the debris, Malcolm groans. They find him laying on his back with his eyes closed, and Ellie notices that he's put on a tourniquet. Malcolm only sarcastically remarks to remind him to thank Hammond for a lovely weekend. You can't turn this guy off.
No, his leg's busted, but his funny bone's fine.
Yeah.
The T-Rex roars in the distance once again, drawing Ellie and Muldoon's attention. Ellie asks Muldoon if they can chance moving Malcolm, and suddenly Malcolm sits up, wide-eyed, and asks them to please chance it.
Yeah. I don't want to be here when whatever comes back.
Oh,
Absolutely
no.
not.
He had a front row seat for Gennaro.
Yeah.
But they do. With Malcolm placed in the back of Muldoon's Jeep, Muldoon is ready to go, but Ellie is looking for evidence as to where the other car might have gone. She looks over the edge of the enclosure and finds it crashed below. She goes down to investigate the overturned car, but Grant and the kids are already gone. Sweeping her flashlight across the ground, she finds their footprints. Malcolm is still above and left alone in the back of the Jeep. He opens his eyes when he hears the heavy thudding of the footsteps again. He looks down at the huge footprint that the T-Rex left behind. The rainwater collected inside ripples with the heavy thuds of her steps, and we see the reflection of Malcolm's concerned face when the water rests. He's like, oh, that's probably not good. He asks aloud if anyone heard that, identifying it as an impact tremor. He reports to himself that he is fairly alarmed.
It's great.
Finally, Ellie and Muldoon come back toward the Jeep, and Malcolm urges them along, telling them that they need to get out of here right now. They run to the Jeep and get inside, just in time for the T-Rex to come crashing through the trees behind them. Muldoon starts the Jeep, and they take off. Alone in the back, facing the T-Rex, Malcolm pleads with Muldoon to go faster. Ellie screams, and Muldoon checks his side mirror. It reports that objects in the mirror are closer than they appear, and the T-Rex is already too damn close, her mouth open and ready. Malcolm backs away from her, inadvertently hitting the gear shift. Muldoon starts to lose control of the Jeep, and the T-Rex closes in enough to nudge the side of it, jostling them. Muldoon finally regains control and speeds up, and the T-Rex is finally like, fuck this. She loses interest and wanders into the trees. Malcolm can't help himself but to ask if they think that they'll have that on the tour.
Probably not. But this whole little sequence from them coming out of the tree into this, into the T-Rex, fucking great. Fantastic little chain of events here.
Yeah.
And this is also another scene that's been parodied all the fucking time. They did this on Toy Story. They did this on SpongeBob.
You're right.
Yeah, and they do this all the time. Like this movie, it's fucking fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Just iconic.
Yeah.
I was just kind of in awe of the T-Rex and all the marriage of all the effects houses.
Yeah.
Because this sequence, you can tell they're using all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just brilliant.
It's seamless. Like, it's incredible.
Again, where'd they get that dinosaur from?
I don't know. What if they just made up a whole story?
Yeah.
Right? But elsewhere, Grant and the kids hear the T-Rexes roaring. Grant calmly guides the kids toward a giant nearby tree and says that they need to climb up. They do, Tim complaining that he hates trees. Lex climbs quickly, saying that they don't bother her, but Tim reminds her that she wasn't in the last one. They climb up the tree and find a group of Brachiosaurus singing to each other. The three of them stare at the dinosaurs, fascinated. Grant moves closer on the branch and tries to imitate their sounds. The Brachiosauruses turn toward him and sing in response. More pop their heads up at the sound of Grant. Lex begs him not to draw the monster's attention, but Grant says that these aren't monsters, they're just animals. They're herbivores. Tim says that means they only eat plants, but they'd probably make an exception for her.
What's going on?
That was because she's like, trees don't bother me.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
that's
like,
true.
bitch, that dinosaur's gonna eat you.
That was just little brother energy. That's
was.
all that was.
Yes.
1,000%.
I would never.
Okay.
All right.
Lex maintains that she hates the other kind of dinosaurs, but getting off of the branch and sitting back with the kids, Grant tells her that they're just doing what they do. Once he sits down, Tim and Lex wordlessly cuddle up to him. Grant moves uncomfortably and realizes that he's sitting on the raptor claw in his back pocket. He takes it out and holds it and lets the kids lean on him. Lex asks what he and Ellie are going to do now if they're not going to be digging up dinosaur bones anymore. She's like, I know my grandfather ruined you. So what's the next chapter? Grant says that he doesn't know. He guesses that they'll just have to evolve too. Tim asks what you call a blind dinosaur. And when Grant doesn't know, Tim hits him with the punchline, do you think he saw us? That was good.
He saw 28 days later.
Grant laughs at this, so Tim keeps going. What do you call a blind dinosaur's dog? Do you think he saw us? Rex.
Grant's like, holy shit, dude. I'm stealing all these jokes.
Right, my next book.
Yeah, seriously. You're writing the foreword of my next book, kid.
Grant laughs again. Lex is starting to doze and asks Grant, what if the dinosaurs come back while they're asleep? Grant says that he'll just stay awake then, all night. The Brachiosaurus start to sing again as Tim and Lex rest and Grant flings the raptor claw down to the ground below.
He's like, I guess I don't need to scare the shit out of children anymore.
You know, I don't hate kids anymore. I don't want to make kids question their mortality.
It was the shot of the talon. He's like, oh, wow.
Yeah. Right, I suck.
Yeah. This is what I've been doing? Jeez, man.
In the restaurant next to the gift shop, Hammond sits at a table eating out of multiple tubs of ice cream. I saw an interview with Laura Dern, and she said that Richard Attenborough loved ice cream, so it was his insistence that they have all the different kind of flavors so he could keep eating while they were filming and in between takes and not get bored of what he was eating.
And in between takes.
Yeah.
That's my favorite
Well,
part.
She
why
was
not?
like, he kept eating even in between.
What made me laugh is that his grandchildren are obviously in
Literally.
peril.
Yeah.
And he's having dessert, is what I was like, really?
But Ellie walks over and sits on the other side of the table. Hammond explains that the ice creams were all melting, but Ellie tells him that she gave Malcolm a shot of morphine and he seems okay now. She's like, and he's talking about ice cream.
Yeah.
Oh, Malcolm's going to live, in
Yeah.
case
By
you
the
were
way.
wondering. Referring to her uneasiness, Hammond assures her that they'll be fine. He offers, who better to get the children through Jurassic Park than a dinosaur expert? Ellie doesn't reply. Hammond starts to tell her about the first attraction he ever built when he came from Scotland. It was a flea circus called Petticoat Lane. He describes it as wonderful, with little trapeze and a carousel and a seesaw. He says that people loved it and talked about all the kind of fleas that they could see, the clown fleas and the high wire fleas. His smile drops, and he admits that with this place, he just wanted to show people something real, something that wasn't just an illusion.
So, did anybody else have their idea of flea circuses completely disillusioned by this monologue?
So
They're not working there.
The fleas?
Yeah.
So I don't understand.
It's all mechanics, dude.
Mechanics?
Not like people who work as mechanics.
Oh, there.
No, it's mechanical. And the lie is that it's fleas doing it.
Oh, so there's no fleas at all?
Yeah, it broke my heart.
Oh, dude, that's satisfying.
Yeah.
I thought that they were just fleas just hanging out, and people are like, "Oh no,
wow.
I can see the clown."
Yeah, it's all a lie.
Oh, that's
I'm upset.
sad.
It's like finding out Santa Claus doesn't exist, but he's also a flea.
Flea, like from the Red Hot Chili Peppers?
He exists.
No, he's real. Oh, he's real.
He does
Yeah.
the trapeze.
Yes.
I'm too sad to continue. But he wanted to give them something they could see and touch. He says that this aim wasn't devoid of merit. But Ellie tells him that he just can't think through this. He has to feel it. Hammond tells her that she's right. He went wrong with hiring Nedry. That was a mistake.
Dude.
Jeez.
It wasn't your biggest one, but it was a mistake.
It was a
I
mistake.
mean,
It's like the genetic stuff is on point,
what the fuck?
but Nedry is where
Yeah.
Next time there will be no Nedry.
Yeah, speaking of which, he says that everything in the park relies too heavily on automation, but next time they'll fix all that. Ellie is visibly frustrated when he says next time, but Hammond insists that creation is an act of sheer will, and next time it will be flawless. Ellie tells him that this is still just a flea circus. It's an illusion. Hammond tries to reason that when they had control, but Ellie interrupts him, raising her voice. She tells him that he never had control. That was the illusion. She admits to being overwhelmed by the power of Jurassic Park and that she made the mistake of not having enough respect for the power, and it's out now. She insists that the only thing that matters now are the people they love. Grant, Lex, and Tim are all out there where people are dying. Starting to cry, she grabs a spoon and has a taste of the ice cream. She says that it's good, and Hammond tells her once again that they spared no expense.
The best.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude,
I just...
you didn't hear anything she
Yeah,
said.
no.
You're going to try to make this again tomorrow. I know you are.
And are you going to ask about your grandchildren?
Literally.
Yeah.
He's like, ooh, this is raspberry. It's like, wait, dude.
But outside, Grant has fallen asleep holding Lex and Tim. When a Brachiosaurus comes over to eat some very close leaves, Grant wakes up. He smiles at this, but Lex wakes up and panics, screaming and scooting away from the dinosaur.
But he told you it was...
He did.
Yeah.
Tim tries to remind her that they only eat veggies. He's like, Vegisaurus, like, we just went over this. But to illustrate, Grant picks up a branch of leaves and with Tim's help offers them to the dinosaur. She growls a little, scaring Lex more, but then she starts to eat the leaves. Grant and Tim pet her. Tim notices that she looks a little sick, and Grant's like, yeah, maybe.
Keep feeding her.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand. Why are all the dinosaurs sick? Is it because of all the plants?
I think that it's just what Ellie said about, these plants are poisonous and they're aesthetically pleasing, so you put them here.
Yeah.
And again, it's like it's the second part of an arc that doesn't come
Yeah.
because it's
You're right.
you
Yeah.
know?
Or even the guy earlier that was like, yeah, they're poison. They don't.
they know, like, dude.
Well, didn't earlier when they were in the lab and he was talking to him, he was like, well, we got to give them a certain kind of enzyme or else they can't survive off of the...
Yeah, I think that's later.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking that too.
Yeah.
Why are they sick? I didn't even think about
Because
that.
they don't know how to take care of dinosaurs. That's why they're sick.
They're like,
No, yeah.
step one, make dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Step two, money. Is all.
Yeah.
That was the whole plan.
You skipped a lot of steps in there. But Lex starts to smile. She asks if she can pet her too, and Grant says that she can, and to just think of it like a big cow. Lex says that she likes cows and reaches forward to pet the Brachiosaurus, but the dinosaur pulls away. Emboldened, Lex leans down and tries to gently call the dinosaur back. The Brachiosaurus turns toward her and sneezes.
Oh.
Lex is stunned, covered in snot, and smiling, Tim offers the dinosaur a God bless you. Just a little personal anecdote for a moment. This same exact thing happened to me. It wasn't a dinosaur.
We went to Jurassic Park.
Holy shit.
It wasn't a dinosaur. My grandma for a time had a donkey, and I was feeding the donkey bread, and he sneezed in my fucking face, and I got very sick.
Yes.
He was there.
I was there.
It was a nightmare. It was horrible.
Well, what's crazy is what JP said earlier, because donkey noises are with the Brachiosaurus.
Yeah.
It's those sons of bitches. This movie was trying to warn me. Later, Grant walks with the kids in the woods, and Tim complains that now Lex is never going to try anything new. It's like, dude, she's been like,
That
give
was
her
a
a break.
Yeah.
Oh, she's going to be all fucking traumatized or whatever.
A dinosaur sneezed on me, dude. Give me a minute.
He says she's just going to stay in her room and play on her computer. When he refers to her as a computer nerd, Lex insists that she's a hacker. Grant isn't listening to them anymore, though. He is transfixed by a cluster of hatched eggs that he has found on the ground. He says this means that they're breeding, but Tim insists that their grandfather told them that all the dinosaurs were girls. Grant blames it on amphibian DNA. He explains that on the tour, they said they used frog DNA to fill in the gaps in the sequences. They mutated the dinosaur genetic code and blended it with the frogs. Some West African frogs can spontaneously change sex when in a single sex environment. He looks down at the multiple tiny dinosaur footprints in the dirt and says that Malcolm was right. Life found a way.
So once again, why don't the geneticists know this?
Yeah.
They're like, it'll be fine.
Yeah, dude, just cram some frog in there. Like,
Yeah, anything. Think more frog.
More frog.
they thought.
That was the whole meeting.
Yeah. Think more frog, dude.
That is, why didn't they think of that?
I don't know.
But speaking of Malcolm, we cut back to the facility where he's giving the iconic pose, laying back with his shirt open and intently staring at the conversation in front of him in the control room. This just made my whole day when I was working on this.
He was waiting.
He was
waiting.
So while
He was
they're
absolutely waiting.
while they're working, he's posing for a sculpture or something. I don't understand. I'm assuming this was also Jeff Goldblum's idea.
It had to be.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm watching it, I'm like, were we just supposed to accept that, or is this supposed to be like?
No, that's how he's recovering.
But Arnold is asserting that Hammond is out of his mind. But Ellie wants to know exactly what the plan is. Hammond calls it a calculated risk, which is the only option they have. He says they're never going to find the command that Nedry used because he covered it up too well. And it's obvious that he's not coming back. He says that shutting down the entire system is the only way to wipe out everything that Nedry did. Arnold insists that he needs to find someone else to do it because he's not doing it. Hammond tells Ellie that the systems will all come back to their original mode. He asks Arnold if this is right, and Arnold admits that in theory it is, but they've never shut down the entire system before. It may not come back on at all. Ellie asks if the phones will come back, and Arnold again says yes, in theory. It's like, are you not listening to me? Muldoon asks about putting the lysine contingency into effect. Ellie asks what that is, but Hammond stomps away, declaring it absolutely out of the question. What you were talking about earlier, John Paul, Arnold explains that the lysine contingency prevents the spread of the animals in case they ever get off of the island. Wu inserted a gene that produces a faulty enzyme that makes the animals unable to make the amino acid lysine. If they're not provided with lysine by them, they will eventually slip into a coma and die. Hammond dramatically says that people are dying and pleads with Arnold to just shut down the system. Yeah, people are dying. Mm-hmm. Like, you're right, Hammond, because he's like, no, absolutely not. It's like, your grandchildren could literally be in a dinosaur's mouth right now. Like, you don't know what's going on.
But again, you can add that, but you can't.
Yes.
Like,
I mean, they were thinking ahead on some things, but not enough things. They're like, no, put the poison in there.
Yeah, leave
so
the
they
bile.
can't get away. God damn.
Yeah. It's like, good Lord.
But Arnold complies, unlocking a control panel with his key and systematically switching all of them off. The computers turn off, then Nedry's. Muldoon arms himself with a flashlight as Arnold hits another switch and they're all plunged into darkness. Standing in front of the main switch, Arnold cautions one more time, hold on to your butts. He flips the switch. We zoom in on Nedry's computer that says system ready. He says that it's okay because it worked. The system is back up. Malcolm asks how it worked when the lights are still off, but Arnold supposes that maybe the shutdown tripped the circuit breakers. They'll just have to turn them back on and reboot a few systems like the phones and security doors, but they'll be fine. It's like you're saying like those are small things.
Just the security.
Those are really, really big things.
Not only that, now we have to leave this room to find those? Or do we find them in this room?
That too. You know there's dinosaurs out there, right? Muldoon asks where the breakers are, and Arnold says that they're in a maintenance shed at the end of the compound. In 3 minutes, he'll be able to have the power back on for the whole park. He walks away. Hammond says that to be safe, he wants everyone in the emergency bunker until Arnold comes back and the whole system is back up. We go from the darkness of the control room to the bright outdoors as Grant walks with Lex and Tim. It's now that it's occurring to me that it's been the whole night.
Yeah.
And you still don't know where your grandchildren are. They could have been eating.
Yeah.
You're eating ice cream. You're like, no, not the lies. It's like, dude, I can't with him.
No.
Yeah, I don't.
But the kids are complaining about being tired, dirty, and hot. But Grant says that according to the map, the visitor center is only a mile away over the rise in front of them. He starts to tell them to just keep going, but a huge herd of dinosaurs running toward them stops him in his tracks. He asks Tim if he can identify them, and after a moment, he can. Gallimimus. Lex wants to know if they're meatosauruses, but Grant is transfixed by the way they're running together and uniformly changing direction. He likens them to a flock of birds evading a predator, but Tim cautions that they're flocking this way.
Mm-hmm.
He and Lex start to run away, and after a moment, Grant joins them. The Gallimimus catch up fast, and soon they're running with the herd. They find a large fallen tree branch and hide behind it until they pass. Then they raise their heads to watch the herd. The moment is broken, though, when the T-Rex comes stomping through the trees and starts to grab and eat the smaller dinosaurs.
That explains it.
Yeah.
See, this is exactly why I don't go for jogs in the morning. Yeah. This exact reason.
That's what you're afraid of?
Yes. I mean, we just saw it.
It's what we're all afraid
it happens, man. So the like squawking and yipping noise that the Gallimimuses are making. So for this, this was one he said that if people knew, kind of where some of these sounds came from, they'd be a little. So this is actually
T looks very worried.
This is actually the sound that a mare makes when they're close to a male horse when they're excited.
Oh.
So when they're fixing to,
I thought
fucking Bronco style.
Well, you said you said a mayor. I thought you meant like the elected leader of a township.
Like Mayor Quimby?
Yeah. So that's very specific.
He's probably made this sound before.
I'm sure he has.
Yes.
Oh wow.
But this is not the only sound that's from something like this. We'll get into another sound later that's also from a situation kind of like this.
I've said the phrase dinocorum a lot.
And here we are again.
Yeah, well, you knew it was going to come somewhere.
No, I didn't.
It's a real dino crisis, huh?
Like that video game.
But Lex says that she wants to go now. Grant is like, look at how it eats. She asks him, please, but he just quips that he bets she'll never look at birds the same way again. She continues to ask if they can go now, and Grant finally says yes, telling them to keep low and to follow him. Tim is amazed by the amount of blood, but Grant scoops him away.
That was worrying.
Yeah.
Tim grows up to be the God's hand killer.
Oh, shit.
The Raptor's claw killer.
He picked it up. He's like, it's mine. It's mine now.
And that, come on, that's not a bird. It's fucking dinosaur eating, man.
Well, right
I
now.
get
He's
it. Yeah.
he's really married to his theory. He's
Yeah.
like, see, Tim, you fucking, I told you.
Yeah, reading other people's books.
But in the bunker, Ellie paces, muttering that something is wrong. Hammond gives Malcolm a blanket and tends to the wound on his leg, assuring him that all major parks have delays. When Disneyland opened in 1956, nothing worked.
A little different. There wasn't a giant mouse eating people or whatever.
Right, and it was 1955, not 56.
Oh.
Wow, Hammond,
Yeah.
do your homework.
Well, he's going through a lot.
But Malcolm argues that when the Pirates of the Caribbean ride breaks down, the pirates don't eat the tourists.
There.
Yeah.
Ellie says that she's sure something went wrong and she can't wait anymore. She's going to get the power back on. Muldoon warns her that she can't just go walking down the road. Hammond tells her not to be hasty because it's only been, but when he consults his watch, he shuts up. Muldoon immediately goes to the open gun cabinet and insists that he's going with her. She doesn't fight him. Hammond takes out a blueprint of the park and cautions that it won't be like switching on a kitchen light, but he thinks he can follow the blueprint and then talk her through it. Ellie grabs walkie-talkies for herself and Hammond. Hammond pauses for a moment, saying that it really should be him going, implying that he's a man and she's a woman.
Just eat your fucking ice cream. Like, what are you even doing?
See, I thought he was saying it because he's the host. You invited us.
I thought that at first too.
But he's like, because I'm.
Well,
Yeah.
in that vein, you should be.
Yeah. No, yeah.
You caused all this.
But yeah,
Yeah.
then it's like, oh, come on, you old fuck. Calm down. Annoyed, Ellie tells him that they can discuss sexism and survival situations when she gets back, but get on channel 2 of the walkie and talk her through it step by step. She leaves with Muldoon. She follows him as he cautiously steps outside. He stops when he sees that the railing to the Raptor exhibit has been pried open and broken. Those Raptors, they were fucking waiting.
Oh,
dude.
yeah.
I'm scared at how smart they are.
Yeah.
Horrified. He stoops to inspect the tracks outside of the pen and says that the shutdown must have turned off every fence. Well, yeah, that's what a shutdown does.
Mm-hmm.
He says that even Nedry knew not to mess with the Raptor pen. They make their way into the trees. Ellie says that she can see the shed from where they are and they'll be able to make it if they run. Muldoon quietly tells her that they won't because they're being hunted. He assures her that it's all right and she says, like hell it is. Aiming his gun, he tells Ellie to run toward the shed because he's got her. Running, jumping, and swinging on branches, Ellie follows instruction, not stopping until she is safe inside the shed.
Man, I was holding my breath the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, make it.
Yeah. Once inside, she calls out for Arnold, but gets no response. From the bunker, Hammond feeds her instructions, taking the staircase down and taking a left. Malcolm tells Hammond to just tell Ellie to follow the main cable, but Hammond snaps at him that he knows how to read a schematic.
Come on.
Do you?
No.
I know.
You know how to make a dinosaur park? I know that.
Yeah. Grant, Lex, and Tim make it across a vast field and come to the 10,000-volt electrified fence. Grant approaches it. When he throws a stick against it and nothing happens and notices that the lights are off, he concludes that the power must be down. He grabs the fence with both hands. When he starts shaking and screaming, Lex and Tim freak out, but suddenly Grant stops and offers them a sly smile.
That's...
Yeah. Lex tells him that it wasn't funny, but Tim disagrees. He says that it was great. It really wasn't funny. No. I feel like these kids have been doing that.
Like, he's dead. He's dead, too.
He was our only chance. Grant tries to see if he can pry the fence open so that they can crawl through, but it won't budge. When the T-Rex roars loudly behind them, they snap into action and try to get through the only way they can, by climbing up.
So I have to be honest, I do understand that he attempted that, and I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Tim could Superman through that.
Thank
could,
you.
Very
yeah.
easily.
I was looking at it too, and I was like, man, I bet they could fit
Yeah.
through
The
there.
kids,
Yeah.
yeah.
You
And
have to
then
climb.
You can climb
Yeah.
up, yeah.
But you're fine.
And that would have saved us something that
Good Lord.
But back in the shed, Ellie has come to a dead end. Hammond realizes that there should have been a right turn somewhere, but Malcolm snatches the walkie from him. He tells Ellie to look up. There should be a network of cables above her, all leading in the same direction. She just needs to follow that. Ellie runs her flashlight along the ceiling, and he's right. She follows it. Grant, Lex, and Tim make their way up the fence. Lex challenges Tim that she could probably make it up and down the other side before he even makes it over. Grant tells him to calm down because it's not a race. This made me laugh because he's like, no, guys, slow down. The power's going to be off forever.
Got all the time in the world.
As slow as you can. Back in the shed, however, Ellie has followed the pipes and cables to a box that says high voltage. At the fence, Grant and the kids make it over and start the slow descent down the other side, with Grant urging them to be careful and take their time.
Yeah. This all seems like it's going a little too smooth right now.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
I'd say.
On the walkie, Hammond advises that she can't throw the main switch manually. She'll have to pump the primer handle to get it to charge. Ellie finds it and pumps it 4 times until it reads as charged. This made me laugh because I was like, oh, at least that'll buy them some time to get down. And she's like, it's ready. Hammond tells her that there's a round green button that says push to close. Her finger hovers over it until Hammond tells her to push it, and she does. At the fence, Grant and Lex make their way down to the bottom, but Tim is still climbing down. An alarm sounds and the lights on the fence begin to flash. Hammond tells Ellie that there are buttons for each individual fence in the park to be armed again. He tells her to push them, and she gets to work doing so. She starts at the top. The very last one at the bottom is the perimeter fence where Tim is still hanging on.
They're very lucky that they designed the system with so much suspense in mind.
Yeah.
Grant and Lex yell at Tim that he needs to get down now. Grant tells him to jump, but Tim is too afraid, despite Grant promising to catch him. Ellie is moving quick down the panel, and Grant decides that he'll just go up and get him. Tim finally says he'll count to 3, but as he's slowly doing so, Ellie reaches the perimeter fence. Tim counts to 2, and the fence is armed. Sparks fly, and Tim is thrown backwards by the current, and Grant catches him, and they fall to the ground. Lex screams for her brother, and Grant realizes that he's not breathing.
Yeah. But on the cool, man, that shot when we're seeing from Tim where he's at, if he let go, Grant wouldn't have caught his ass.
Probably not.
He would have fucking fell.
But I think that you've got a better chance of falling on the grass than 10,000 fucking volts.
Yeah, and he fell on the grass anyway.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Volts? I think I said volts.
Oh, he was vaulted.
He was.
So you're right. I did not in a million years think that they were going to zap this child. I thought it was going to be the last second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's going to fall into Grant's arms and we see like sparks or something. But
He's like flung.
yes.
Oh, yeah.
He's got superpowers now. This kid's the Flash or whatever.
Lex is like, now he's never going to try anything new again.
Get electrocuted once.
But all of the lights switch on overhead in the shed, and Ellie happily reports to Hammond that she thinks they're back in business. Her celebration is short-lived, though, when a screeching dinosaur pokes its head through the fence behind her. She screams and runs, locking herself behind a gate. It's a raptor.
Yeah.
Let me
Yeah.
be specific. The scary ones.
Yeah.
When Arnold's hand plops onto her shoulder, she is relieved until she turns around and the arm is revealed to be disembodied.
Okay, so I had a range of emotions going through this.
Oh my God.
It made me laugh originally because she thought it was a reassuring hand on her
Yeah, she's
shoulder.
like,
Yeah.
oh my God.
Oh, thank God, it's Arnold. But then I was like, oh, this is quite graphic. Like,
Yeah.
that was very surprising. It's a
Set
severed
up
arm.
A fucking raptor ate
Yeah.
me. I did read in an article that Arnold was supposed to have like a pretty gruesome death scene with like multiple raptors.
Good Lord.
But I guess the set that they had made for it was destroyed in that hurricane. So he dies off screen, which is a tragedy because
It's Samuel L. Jackson.
yes. And he was cool as shit.
He was.
Oh, yeah.
But she stares at the bloody end of his arm before dropping it. The raptor removes the gate and Ellie limps away. She's able to make it outside and slam the door behind her. She continues running until she slams the door on the fence, separating the shed from the trees. Free from her pursuer, she sobs. Muldoon continues his hunt, moving quietly through the trees. When he finally finds the raptor, he readies the gun and lines up his shot. The raptor in front of him targeted, he is startled by another one jumping out of the trees next to him. He only has a moment to call the creature a clever girl before he is knocked down and promptly eaten.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so okay. You think iconic moments in Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
You remember clever girl.
Yeah.
You remember it, but you don't remember it being the last words before he gets eaten.
Literally.
I thought that he said that and then it was fine.
And then he shot.
Yeah. I didn't think he was mauled in front of our very eyes.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
well, we were told at the beginning how they hunt.
Yeah.
And we see it in action.
It's just sad because he was the only one who had, I know Grant too, but he had the proper reverence for these creatures.
Yeah.
And for his arc to be devoured, like tricked and then devoured by them.
By those creatures.
That's not fair.
No, it was shocking.
Yeah.
And to have two gruesome deaths in a row again.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But the first raptor just watches as a snake slithers by, and I'm pretty sure she's smiling.
They're high-fiving and shit.
Yeah. Back by the fence, Grant is giving Tim CPR while Lex stands over them sobbing. Finally, Tim takes in air and coughs. Grant cradles him, praising him, and Tim finally chokes out 3. Carrying Tim, Grant and Lex finally make it into the visitor center. Grant sets Tim down on a table and says that they need to get him to a doctor. You think maybe we should get Tim to a doctor as soon as possible? He notes that all of Tim's hair is sticking up, but he calls him Big Tim, the human piece of toast. I thought that was adorable.
Yeah.
So he's on the other side of the arc.
He's a father now.
He's legally adopted these children.
But he promises to be back soon and leaves the center. Tim immediately gets up and singles in on a display of desserts. He is his grandfather's grandson.
He's like, hold on.
Spared no expense.
Yeah.
Outside, Grant finds Ellie, who has abandoned her overshirt and looks frantic. Now, I know she was running from the raptor the last time we saw her, but it looks like she's been through so much more to get thin now. He calls out to her happily, but she pleads with him to run. She limps toward him, and he runs to her, and they embrace.
The reunion is very sweet.
It is.
Yeah.
Touched my heart.
Yeah. In the visitor center, Lex and Tim are happily chowing down. They smile at each other, but suddenly Tim looks confused. His sister is staring at him, a spoonful of Jell-O halfway between the plate and her mouth, with a horrified expression on her face. Tim's eyes widen as we see the shadow of a raptor wandering behind Tim. I was like, Dad, it's in there again. Like, they're everywhere.
Yeah, dude.
They make their way to the kitchen and shut off all the lights before hiding behind a counter. The raptor follows behind, the breath from its nose fogging the small window in the door. In the bunker, Grant arms himself with a gun. He checks that there are only 2 raptors, asking if Ellie is sure that the third one is contained. She says that it is, unless they figure out how to open doors.
Look, hasn't enough happened on this island?
Literally.
Yeah.
We know they're going to learn.
Yeah.
We cut to the raptor, pressing down on the handle of the kitchen door and letting herself in.
Fantastic.
Lex whispers to her brother, asking what it is. He identifies it as a velociraptor, and Lex shakes in horror, realizing that it's inside. The raptor cries out to her cohort, and it quickly joins her. They roam the kitchen, splitting up to cover more ground. They're too fucking smart.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So their communication, you want to know what that sound is?
Well, you
T?
said we'd be a little.
Do you want to know, T?
I guess we have to find out, I think.
Teach us.
So, and again, he is tuning and mixing these sounds and whatever, but the barks of the raptors, even some of the screeches, are the sounds of tortoises having sex.
I mean, my God.
Kind of dinosaur-like.
Heavens to Betsy. I mean, sure.
They live a long time.
They do live a long time.
I don't know what that has to do.
They're basically dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, you had to pick something, right?
No matter what age, they like to get it in.
It's all right. They're turtles, dude. Like can we? What happens next, May?
This is the Mummy, dude.
Well, I was wounded.
You were hurt.
The 1932 horror classic. Go ahead.
John Paul and I were doing too much.
Yeah.
But Lex and Tim are forced to move, hiding behind counters as they move to avoid the dinosaurs. We see the raptor's huge claws clicking on the floor as they stalk them. A raptor knocks down pots and pans, and Lex and Tim continue to crawl as they crash down on them. They're able to avoid detection and hide behind a counter, but Tim accidentally knocks a metal ladle onto the floor. One of the raptors jumps up onto the counter to get a better look, and Lex crawls to the other end, motioning for Tim to follow her, but he's too afraid.
Okay, so I got to be honest. When they're just on the prowl, like skulking around,
Yeah.
it's frightening enough.
Yeah.
When he jumps on the counter, I'd be like, "We're dead, sis.
Yeah.
This is
Time
it."
to say goodbye.
Yeah.
I need an adult.
Yeah. Just as the raptor closes in on him, Lex taps, drawing their attention away. She pulls a Malcolm.
Mm-hmm.
Once they start in her direction, she pulls herself into a cabinet out of sight. She's unable to close it, though, and screams as a raptor zeroes in on her. It mistakes her reflection for her, though, and runs face first into the steel, knocking itself over.
So it graduated from the same school as Ghostface.
Yes.
Just clumsy as hell.
Lex takes this opportunity to run. Tim watches all of this, still in the same spot, but he is in sight of the open freezer. He makes a run for it, dragging his injured leg behind him, and the raptor follows. Tim makes a U-turn once he gets into the freezer, and the raptor crashes into the shelves inside. Tim is able to run out of the door and struggles to close it as the raptor tries to leave too. Lex runs, screaming, and helps Tim slam it shut, using the key on the door to lock the raptor inside. The remaining raptor has gotten to its feet and watches Lex and Tim run. Once in the restaurant, they run into Ellie and Grant. Lex tells them that the raptor is in the kitchen and Grant readies his gun, but Ellie insists that they get to the control room and they back away.
So just a little bit about the raptors really quick.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever they're entering the kitchen, they're animatronics. They're two dudes in a suit, basically. And like the different individual parts are being controlled.
Yeah.
But of course, whenever it jumps on the counter, that's all CG.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, whenever we see them skulking around, they feel such a part of the environment.
Yeah.
No matter if it's practical or CG.
Yeah.
The seamless integration of these raptors, it's just, again, kind of mind-blowing.
It
Yeah.
is.
1993.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm like, how does it still look so good?
Yeah.
In the control room, Ellie says that they can call for help once they reboot the system. Grant slams the door shut and bends down to inspect the locks, telling Ellie that she needs to reboot them now. But when he stands back up, the raptor is there, peering at him and breathing fog onto the glass. It's too much. Grant stares in horror as the raptor displays her newly learned ability of opening doors. Ellie abandons the computer to help Grant hold the door closed. Lex snaps into action, calling on her hacker skills. She realizes that she knows the system that's being used and says that it tells you everything. You just need to find the right file. Holding the door closed on the raptor, Ellie and Grant try to reach the gun with their feet. Ellie can get close, but she'll have to move to get it properly. As Lex travels through the system on the computer, the raptor sticks its hand through. Just as they're about to lose the battle, Lex finds the file and arms every security door in the visitor center. The door slams shut and locks. Lex reports that the security systems are all back online.
I just want to say, of course, it's a triumphant victory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is very funny to me that we literally had one throwaway line about Lex being a hacker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the second they come here, like, I'm a hacker conveniently. Let's do this. And then she saves the day.
Well, they
Yeah.
planted it like half an hour ago, so it's
yeah,
fine.
Yeah.
literally, they found the eggs, and she's like, "I'm a hacker." Like, okay, cool. Well, I guess maybe that'll come up later.
It's too bad there's no computers around.
Yeah.
'Cause
If only.
that's where I really shine. But in the bunker, Hammond and Malcolm are both surprised when the phone rings. Hammond answers, and on the other end, Grant tells him that the phones are back on. Hammond asks after the children, and Grant assures him that they're fine. He tells him to call the mainland and tell them to send the damn helicopters. The kids beam up at him, but the Raptor slams against the glass window. Remember me? I'm still here and very powerful. Hammond is horrified when he hears gunshots on the other end of the phone. After shooting holes into the glass and leaving the gun behind, Grant, Ellie, Lex, and Tim use a ladder to climb up into the ceiling just as the Raptor breaks through.
Yeah, all he had to do was just take that spent shell out.
Well, he's like, no time.
Leave it behind. Now the Raptor has a gun. Great.
You know she'll learn how to use it. But as she lands in the control room, Grant kicks the ladder down.
That made me laugh. Is this when we get the shot of the Raptor with the genetic sequence projected on their face?
In just a second, yeah.
Because that's a brilliant
It really
shot.
is.
Yeah.
But Grant finds an open door in the ceiling and starts for it. But the coating of the computer screen reflected on its skin, the Raptor is tracking their movement through the ceiling.
Just, mwah.
Yeah, no, it's great. It sticks its head through the tile that Lex is crawling on, lifting her up. She screams, and Grant comes back and kicks the Raptor in the face.
Hey, it's you know.
He's like, what the fuck was that?
I mean, you don't have to reload a leg. you can do it.
But the Raptor falls, and they're able to pull Lex back up before she falls down into the control center. They travel through the open door in the ceiling, and when Grant removes the grate to the next room, they're above the giant dinosaur skeleton in the lobby of the visitor center. They climb down the scaffolding and onto the skeleton, but there's a Raptor down there waiting for them. With all of their weight on the skeleton, it separates, and they individually come crashing down to the ground. The Raptor waits for them, and Grant grabs Tim and Lex away, shielding them with his body. But as they back away from the first Raptor, they are flanked on the other side by another one. Grant stands guard in front of Ellie and the kids, but there is nothing else to be done. Just before all hope is lost and one of the Raptors strike, the T-Rex enters the chat and snatches it up. She shakes it around, roaring, and the other Raptor attacks to save its friend. Leaving the fighting to the creatures, Grant, Ellie, Lex, and Tim run out the front doors and outside.
This is one of the most unpredictable things I've ever seen. You got the T-Rex with the baby face turn, and then the Raptor's like, you killed my wife or whatever, and then they start fighting. It's
You
like,
killed my wife.
it's unbelievable because this is like, you guys can handle it.
Bye. I did read that the original ending, Ellie was going to somehow use the pieces of the skeleton to fall onto the Raptors and kill them that way. But Spielberg insisted that Rexy was the star of the show, so she needed to come back at the finale.
Sam Neill's like, thanks.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, very cool.
Awesome. But with perfect timing, Hammond pulls up to the visitor center. Ellie helps the kids into the back of the car, and as Grant gets in the front next to Hammond, he tells him that after careful consideration, he's decided not to endorse the park. Hammond tells him, so have I, and drives away. Thank God, because I expected him to be like, no, we'll do it right now.
It's like, I bribed you and everything.
But the kids are alive. It's fine. In the visitor center, the T-Rex vanquishes the Raptors and smashes the remaining pieces of the skeleton. She stands in its place, roaring victoriously as the banner "When Dinosaurs Ruled the Earth" flutters down to the ground.
Spielberg said he couldn't resist the irony.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's great.
At the landing pad, Ellie helps Lex and Tim to the helicopter before getting in herself. Grant helps the still injured Malcolm inside before joining Hammond, who is standing alone, taking one last look at his creation. Grant gently grabs his arm and leads him to the helicopter.
He's like, there's going to be so many more lawsuits.
I'm never going to financially recover from this. Inside, he looks longingly at the mosquito suspended in the amber of his cane.
It's like, it's just you and me now, Buzz.
Skeeter.
What dreams we had.
what's his name? Doug Funny? What the fuck?
This is the origin story. Somehow. I
That's
don't.
where it all came from.
Yeah.
But Ellie sits between him and Malcolm, looking across at Grant, who still sits with both of the kids. Lex and Tim have their eyes closed and rest on Grant's chest and shoulder. She smiles at Grant, who opens his eyes and smiles at her in return before looking lovingly down at the kids and then back up at Ellie. Grant looks out the window at the birds flying majestically over the ocean as the helicopter takes them back to the mainland. It cuts to black, the theme plays, and the credits roll. So, what did you guys think of Jurassic Park?
I really enjoyed this movie, and I will continue to enjoy it and love it and cherish it for what it is. But no, yeah, this movie's great. I feel like this is a movie that is timeless. Like, you can watch this movie whenever, in any year, at any time, and it's still great. It's so amazing what they did with it. And I remember I watched a video some time back before we ever even considered about covering Jurassic Park. It's the YouTube channel is Corridor Crew.
Oh, yeah.
And what they did was they tried to recreate what they did in Jurassic Park with today's technology. They said they didn't have a big budget, but they did have the know-how how to do it. And they did it, and he was like, it still doesn't look like what they did. He was like, we still can't recreate. He goes, even with today's technology, he's like, it still doesn't look as good as what they did.
They had real dinosaurs.
No, yeah.
It's time to face facts, people.
Yeah. But I mean, even like that, you see even people all this time now are still like, we can't create that magic again.
Yeah.
We can't make it feel like real ass dinosaurs. And I know they didn't have all the stuff that they had with the animatronics and all that, but still, you would think with today's technology and upgrades, you would be able to do it with your PC.
Yeah.
But you still can't.
I think this is going to be one that goes into the rotation. It's one, I don't understand it, and you kind of hinted at the beginning about having some kind of nostalgia for it, yet this not being one of the films that I remember even watching a ton in our childhood.
Yeah.
I, in fact, don't remember really watching it all.
Yeah, you were told that you watched
I was told, and I choose to believe you guys. But no, I think that this is another one where we talk about the marriage between everything going on in front of the camera, behind the scenes. The pre-production is incredible, that allowed for so much in what we see on film.
Yeah.
Just everything was just top notch. Everything was working, firing on all cylinders, as they say.
Yeah, that was the exact phrase I was thinking when you were talking.
And it's just chock full of iconic moments. Whether you've seen Jurassic Park or not, you know like 99% of this movie.
Yeah.
You've seen Jeff Goldblum laying there with his shirt open.
Yes, and the memeability is just out of this world. But no, I really enjoyed it. I really think that it is a cinematic achievement, as I said at the intro. Kind of unbelievable what they were able to do technologically, as JP hinted at.
Yeah.
I'm just very, very impressed by this movie. Of course, I said at the beginning, maybe a little more characterization, but this film is the spectacle.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is a film to watch and just kind of be in awe of and feel like a child as you watch it and enjoy the feeling that it gives you.
No, I completely agree with both of y'all. It's just one of those films that doesn't get old. And like you were saying, John Paul, you can watch it at any time. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter how old the movie is. Like, it just stays great. It just doesn't get old. And then you learn all the behind the scenes stuff about how hard everybody worked and how everybody really seemed to be having fun. You know, how funny is it? The memories that they have of Spielberg roaring into a fucking, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
they were doing the damn thing. And
Yeah.
I'm sure that they knew to an extent that this was going to be something, but they couldn't have known that it was going to be what it is.
Yeah.
But I think we can kind of go into ratings. There is something just magical about this. We talked about the nostalgia. Even if it's not something that was on repeat as a kid, it gives you just, it's just special in such a weird way that not many films are. I feel like it's got something for everyone. I don't think that anybody could genuinely, unless you're just trying to be a contrarian, sit down and watch Jurassic Park and be like, that movie sucked. Like, get out. You know what I mean? Like, there's no way. There's something for everybody. There's the adventure, the action, the emotional aspect of, especially with Grant and the kids. There's somebody to identify with no matter what point you are in your life when you're watching this. Or what kind of person you are. You have your Hammonds, you have your Malcolms, you know what I mean? Like,
I just want to point out that Nate gestured at me when she said your Malcolms, and I really appreciate it.
I just talked with my hands.
Oh, well, I'm hurt.
Well, John Paul's in a light color, you're in a dark color. You know, you're Malcolm. Hey! You had logged off and I could see it. No, but you know what I mean? It's just really special. And that's setting aside all the technological accomplishments. It just, like you said, firing on all cylinders. It delivers, for me, I'll say, in every possible aspect. And it is just one of those magic films that, you know, it's evergreen, you know, like those poison plants they had on that island. But
we knew not to eat them.
Yeah. They're not gonna fucking eat them.
Calm down. Yeah, they're sick, and we don't know why.
But it's
it wasn't the
definitely
plan.
not that. It's not the poison plants. But in the messaging in it as well, you know.
Yes.
Malcolm just constantly, he's just spitting fire the entire film. But I'll stop rambling, and I don't think that it's a surprise to anyone that on a scale from 1 to 10 ruthless raptors, I really feel that I have no choice but to give Jurassic Park 10 ruthless raptors out of 10. It is just one of those special, magical moments in cinema that just delivers. Like you gave us exactly what we came for. You understood the assignment and you excelled. So I will now open up the floor to you.
I don't know if there's even much more we can say because we've all said how great the movie is. And then T, I know we watched some of the same videos for it doing research and seeing the cast talk how they talked about working with Spielberg and how much fun they had. And then they all, you know, survived that hurricane and they said that it made them stronger together and they felt more connected. And a lot of it that Spielberg was just like, go. And it was like, okay, all right. I mean, to have that trust in your crew and all that and just be like, no, you guys you're great. This is what I want. And not questioning them or whatever and just kind of do it. Not only that, the Easter eggs in this movie as well. Nedry, his outfits are outfits that the kids wear in the Goonies.
Really?
Oh, shit. That is so cool.
The yellow rain jacket, the members only jacket, the Hawaiian shirt when he's sitting down. That's all things that Chunk, Mikey, and one of the other kids wear.
That's hilarious.
The King Kong thing. Who does he fight? He fights the T-Rex. I mean, there's a lot of stuff there. I think he's watching Jaws at his fucking computer.
Oh, that.
Yeah.
It's like, I did that too.
Yeah.
Me.
But I mean, you can feel the love in this movie. And I know we've talked about it before, whether it's a B movie or it's whatever, when they put everything into the movie, you love it. Like we've said with House a lot of times.
Oh,
if
yeah.
you didn't give everything to that performance, House would have fucking been a different movie. But
instead of the greatest film of all time.
Are we the only group that can immediately connect House to Jurassic Park?
We did it,
all right. Great job.
But with all that, I'm the same way. On a scale from 1 to 10 ruthless raptors, I'm going to give Jurassic Park a 10. I really enjoyed this movie. Again, the later ones, they get, they're not as good. But this one, I feel like set the tone. And I hate to say it, but it was hard to follow this. It was very hard to top something that we were not expecting to be like that. And it was like, I can't believe what I watched. This was the greatest thing in the world.
In the world.
Besides House.
Right.
I'm sorry. No, I agree with all the positive points. I mean, everything was just working perfectly. Cinematography, production design, the technical aspects of it, the cast, the performances, the direction, the score. It's brilliant.
Oh, the score.
Yeah.
And I read a thing, and I want to apologize. I can't remember where it was, but they said that the same 5 notes that are used at the end of this movie are the same 5 notes that are used at the beginning of Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
No shit.
Yeah.
I think John Williams did that too.
There
Love
you go.
that.
So he's just like referencing himself.
Right, this is for me.
Yeah. No, I think it's great. I mean, the only negatives I have really are there are a couple of plot holes, or at least moments that are set up to mean something that just kind of go nowhere.
Yeah. They're like, no, but it's chasing us in the Jeep.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Don't worry about that other stuff.
Yeah, but all these dinosaurs are sick. It's like, who cares? He sneezed in a kid's face. It doesn't matter. It doesn't
It's
matter.
fine.
The plants, they're everywhere. Also, again, the characterization portion. But I mean, you know, I personally, I know that I'm going to grow to love this movie more. Me sitting here at this moment, I personally cannot give Jurassic Park a 10. And I know...
Cut his mic. I'm just kidding.
But I mean, it's fantastic, and it's a brilliant film. It's one that is a sight to behold. Mm-hmm. If you haven't seen it, you definitely need to watch it.
For sure.
Because it is important cinematically.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, out of 10 Ruthless Raptors, I am going to give Jurassic Park 9.5 out of 10 Ruthless Raptors. Because there's very little to take away from it that you're like, they probably should have.
Yeah.
But I mean, if we're really, I mean, we had like 3 scenes setting up these sick ass dinosaurs. And we're just like, nah.
They're like, that T-Rex ate the fucking raptors, dude.
Watch it.
Why are
dude.
you still thinking about that Triceratops?
The sneeze, though, dude. It was. It's gross.
Well, that's all from us at Podmortem. What would you rate Jurassic Park, and what should we watch next? Let us know on Twitter at the Podmortem. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and like us on Facebook. Be sure to follow each of us on Twitter at Blood and Smoke, at RealStreeter84, and at TravisMWH. Thanks again to Original Cinematic for sponsoring this week's episode. Please consider pledging to our Patreon and stay tuned until after the music for a special shout out to our Wendigo Getter patrons. And remember, the advancements of technology still pale in comparison to the awesome power of nature. Never forget who's really in charge. Until next time. Thank you for staying tuned for a special thank you to our Wendigo Getter patrons.
Woo! Yeah.
Hey!
All right, we're getting better.
There we go. Yeah.
A special thank you to Chris Ontiveros, Kristen Lofton, Megan Martinez, Kimberly Bass, Sophie Hodson, Anthony Jerome M., Jordan Nash, Kent Morton, Lala Tamez, Travis Anissa Hunter, Miguel Myers ATX, Jennifer Perez, Allison O'Neill, Carissa, TJ and Angie Bronson, Spooky Mom, Andy Teague, Applin Ontiveros, Karima Rhodes, Antonio Huerta, Kimberly Kleindienst, Will Brown, Sydney Smith, Osvaldo Soto, Bobby Holmes, Donna Eason, JD Rizak, Molly Gerhart, Armand Spasto, Aaron Aguirre, Eggy, William Barry, Brittany Ramatar, Charity Oxner, Amanda Six, Mandy Rainwater, Eden, Jordan Roberts, Dylan, Melissa Sierra, Holly Bryan, Jordan Blevins, Liz Heath, Spencer Montalvo, Pancake the Panda, John Ramos, Michael Newting, Alexis Roberts, Dan Laveau,
Itzy M, Gary Horton, Leisha Olivier, Kate Lamp, Carlos and Sydney, Jessica Hunter, Helena Rudder, Alan Johnston, Mariah, Livy Fun, Mandy M, Scott Troutman Wise, Towton Watson, Mozzie Bear, Brittany G, Dave Burke, Adrian Stakes, Nick Spill, Emma Hagel Kissinger, Valerie G, Emiliana, Brian Glass, CB, Maya Noches, Taylor Santana, Will Lewison, Angelique, Smelly Poo Poo Head, Beth Bauer, Ben Coons, Cookie, Esperanza J, Jason Cow OKC, Joshua Rumley, Danielle Peralta, Hannah R, Brandon, Nicholas Carter, Sawyer Reese Farr, Dr. Diva Loves Horror, Girl That's Scary, Cassandra, Andrea Simmons, Ashley Higuera, William and Zena Rush, Ryan Brom, Megan Ochoa, Laura Lassiter,
Natalie de Guzman, Eileen O, Marissa E, Sydney, Henry F, Megan M, Christy Beck, Nancy and Andy, Amanda Lopez, Andy Terrell, Jason Hanavan, ML Tafoya, Abigail Spitzer, Katie K, Erica Morin, Cameron S, Nicole Stewart, Tris Wynn, K.87, Mariah Jensen, Carrie A, Lonnie Lono, Powell, Kayla E, Maggie H, Fernando Dominguez, Murder Stina, No Thanks Tom Hanks, Kevin McGonigal, Kristen Marcy, Ori81 Bariqua, Look Like That One Girl, Bog Boy, and Montez Sham Wow.
Hey!
Thank you all so much.
Yes. Now, is this all for y'all? You bet Jurassic is.
That's very, very good.
Thank you. I thought I was going to get booed out of the room.
No, I'm very proud of you.
All right. Until next time.